can she be pregnant? I won't allow it. I won't.
Just calm down, he said. If anybody wants to hurt you or hurt our baby, I will not let them off. Not even the Empress.
Yesian is definitely testing the waters. I bet he has other plans.
You've been spoiled. How dare you talk back when I'm lecturing you?
Good morning, the November 22nd of 2021. You're just in time for comprehensive news as well as quite an interactive session on Good Morning Kenya as we look at what has been happening in the political scene over the weekend. Talking about what has been happening over the weekend, you have exactly 1 month to get your COVID jab, lest you miss out on government services. This is just one of the strategies that the Kenyan government is applying to ensure that we at least get to the target of 10 million by 2022. Is that feasible or not? Just remember that even PSVs now, for you to board a PSV, you'll be required to show, your COVID certificate, so to speak, or that you have been vaccinated or received that COVID jab. If you are to visit a hotel or a place of, you want to go have a party in a public place, so to speak, well, the administration has been given the powers, so to speak, to ask if you have been vaccinated. So the deadline is 21st December 2021 for you to get your COVID-19 jab. So much has been said about this particular announcement by government, and we welcome you to chime in. Remember that we are live and you can get us on Twitter at KBC Channel 1, as well as what is happening in our political scene. We have been seeing the last week the Raila as well as William Ruto traversing different parts of the country, selling their agenda, so to speak. And yes, we're walking towards the elections 2020. So much is happening. If you are a Manchester United fan, I think we are breathing a sigh of relief. Ole is out, so to speak. So maybe this is just the opening that we need to reclaim our lost glory. Woe unto Arsenal, because I remember a majority of Arsenal fans were really happy when we were tormenting and lamenting over Ole Gunnar there. So, well, he's out. Let's see if this is going to bring new tidings to Manchester United. That and so much more is going to be happening or coming to you not too long. I'm Regina Manyara. For those who have already tuned in, especially from Nairobi area, already see Jackson Kehara is already watching. Thank you very much. You can get us on Twitter. My Twitter handle is at Ray Manyara. We are a full team here, totally represented. How about Victor? Take it away.
Absolutely. We hope that you had a fantastic weekend. Good morning. It's a new week and let's do this again. I hope you had all lined up for you over the weekend and everything that you planned for went on perfectly. My name is Victor Lowe. Welcome to the show. And of course, in football, it's given. It's important. When it doesn't work, you have to make some changes. If it's not working, as Arsenal fans, we've faced that a lot of times. It's quite common in the English Premier League. It's one of the most competitive leagues in the world. So if it doesn't work, even us on Arsenal's side, we've been calling for our boss to leave. But hey, you have to be patient a bit. We started from bottom 20, so we are above. So yes, we are still going on. Anyway, in political world, who is going to be the Oka flag bearer? They're still playing that game. We are going to be having that discussion later on in the hour, just to understand what is the stand of One Kenya Alliance, so to speak, as far as 2022 political game plan is concerned. Don't miss that discussion coming on later on. I'm not alone, again with Jen Wamboi. Good morning, Jen.
Good morning. Good morning. How are you guys doing?
Perfectly doing well.
Awesome, awesome. I'm also good. It is a beautiful Monday morning. It started off a bit cold, but on the road, manze, jua inachomoka. We've been wondering, guy, what time is it?
Yeah.
Are we late? Are we not late? But we were not late. It has just happened to be a rather beautiful morning that came after a bit of downpour over the night. But nonetheless, we are glad we are here. I am Jane Wamboi. And you know, Regina, what's interesting is that, you know, what the CS said, we're not saying it's a must to get the jab. But we are saying, in order to get government services, you will need to certify that you have gotten the jab. So, you know,
just like saying that you must.
No, he did not say it's a must.
Si lazima.
You know,
yeah.
Being politically correct is very important during these times. And also one thing I think we need to acknowledge here, back to studio away from COVID, is our super fan. This Jackson Kihara, he never misses a program, not even a single day. We need to find out who he is. Tumlete hapa by the time tunafunga mwaka. Super fun Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday or Thursday to celebrate our viewers from wherever you're watching us from. Yeah. So keep watching, keep tweeting, keep checking in. We'd love to know where you're watching us from this morning. And of course, today being the what's the day today? The 22nd. Yesterday was World Television Day. It is a day that has been celebrated since 1996 to just show the increasing importance of television as a medium when it comes to the distribution and dissemination of information. And that, in line with it being on Sunday, we're also going to be celebrating it today, given we are part and parcel of those that, you know, use TV as a medium, as the main, rather, medium of communication in our line of work. So we'll be telling you more about that in not too long. Stephanie.
Okay, good morning. I hope your weekend was well. Speaking about sports, well, Ole Gunnar is out, but I don't know if this will make things easier for Manu, because when Jose Mourinho also left, he said two things. First, the time has spoken, and second, the problem is not yet, the problem is still there. So clearly the problem is still there, but we'll wait to see if there are any changes. Also, yesterday marked World Remembrance Day for road accident victims, and it was sad that prior to that there was a grisly accident along Narok Maimahi Road. So today we just seek you to just be cautious as you use the road. It's your responsibility. Many lives are depending on you. Be cautious and just maintain patience as you use the road. I'll be taking you later on to see how our roads are doing. My name is Stephanie Ayata, and we're going to set a pace for you for the week, because it's a Monday. There's the Monday blues there, but you know, just a quote for you to get you off, to set you off for the week. It says, the only way to feel better about myself is go out and do it. Also, the only way to get rid of the fear of doing something is to go out and do it anyway. This is by Susan Jaffers. So take that quote and just motivate yourself throughout the week. My name is Stephanie Ayata. Thanks for tuning in.
Good morning. If you're tuning in, this is In the Headlines, and I'm Regina Manyara. You're watching KBC Channel 1. We are open to your feedback in regard to what we're going to be broadcasting for you this morning. You can reach us on Twitter at KBC Channel 1. My Twitter handle is at Ray Manyara. We have a Jane Wamboi and at Victor Olo. Now, from the 21st of December 2021, you'll be required to be fully vaccinated to access government services or even enter establishments such as bars and restaurants. Health Cabinet Secretary Mutahi Kagwe says this is the only way to minimize severe infections and hospitalization, while at the same time avoiding a shutdown of the economy. But I have a question.
The 21st of December 2021 be restricted to only those who have been vaccinated against COVID-19. Without the jab, you will be denied in-person access to KRA, education, immigration services, hospital and prison visitation, NTSA and port services, among others.
Nobody said it is mandatory. If you don't want service in the Ministry of Health, don't come. Nobody is saying that you must be vaccinated. No, absolutely not. All I am saying is that if you want to come to my office at Afia House and have been fully vaccinated and you don't want to try the phone.
This directive will also apply in public spaces such as national parks and game reserves, bars, hotels and restaurants, and business enterprises serving more than 50 persons a day.
When seeking transport services, clients should A, show proof of vaccination when using domestic flights. B, show proof of vaccination before use of train services. That is SGR. C, show proof of vaccination before boarding buses, matatus, and or regional travelers.
Health Cabinet Secretary Mutahi Kagwe says the government will be undertaking a 10-day mass vaccination exercise from the 26th with the aim of administering adequate vaccines to as many people as possible.
Kama unakula chupa ya whiskey, kwa nini usidungwe? Kama unaweza whiskey, hata hiyo vaccine utaweza. Usijali.
All facilities to demand for vaccination certificates, and if you fail, there'll be penalty on the facility and penalty on the individuals.
There has been low uptake of the COVID-19 vaccine since the curfew was lifted, especially in counties such as Siaya, Meru, Bungoma, Busia, Migori, Kakamega and Homa Bay. Meanwhile, the ministry says that teenagers aged 15 years and above will be eligible to receive the Pfizer vaccine. The government says that the recent directive on vaccination is the only sure way to protect its people against severe infection and hospitalization, while at the same time avoiding a shutdown of the economy.
Well, we welcome you to your, feedback of what you think about that particular directive. So no COVID certificate, forget seeking government services. So far, Kenya has received 10.7 million COVID-19 vaccine doses and administered nearly 6.4 million vaccinations. So, however, the uptake has already been termed as low among the elderly, and only 18% have received the jab. So the deadline is December 21st, and that is barely actually a month to go. Now we cross over to matters education and money, so to speak, where the National Treasury has released an initial $4 billion to the Ministry of Education to commence the first phase of the competency-based curriculum school infrastructure development program. The $4 billion, in addition to $1.2 billion from the Ministry of Education's infrastructure fund, will be spent on the construction of 6,500 classrooms and in 6,371 secondary schools across the country.
Cabinet Secretary Professor George Magoha says the government remains committed to the smooth transition of grade 6 learners to junior secondary school in January 2023. In a statement to Newsroom Sunday, Magoha said the Ministry of Education has in its war chest a 5.2 billion shilling budget to begin constructing classrooms that will house the learners. Magoha said a multi-agency team comprising the Ministry of Education, the Ministry of Interior and Coordination of National Government and other state agencies has developed a roadmap of implementation of the project. The CBC Infrastructure Development Program is being implemented under the Kenya Economic Stimulus Package using local contractors within the vicinity of the secondary schools to tap local skills and enhance economic opportunities. Contractors had by November 12, 2021 been registered with the Deputy County Commissioners of the respective sub-counties at no cost.
Now we cross over to the political scene, where the Luhya Council of Elders has endorsed Raila Odinga as its most preferred candidate. Meeting at the residence of Kakamega County Governor Wycliffe Oparanya, the elder said Raila is the best bet for the community and the country.
Former Premier continued with his campaigns in western part of this country, promising the locals that he has their best interest at heart.
Wakati huu serikali iko hapa, unaona wale wanasimama hapa, hiyo ndio serikali ya Kenya mwaka ujao, na mimi nataka nyinyi watu wa Butere mbaki kwa serikali. Mimi nina amri kwamba nitatembea na wewe, na nasimama hapa watu wa Butere niungane na nyinyi tusaidiane kupeleka baba State House. Vile siasa 22 inaendelea, ni mnaona ni wanaume ngapi wanaenda kupambana? Ni wanaume ngapi? Ni wanaume ngapi? Ni wanaume ngapi?
And in a major boost to his campaigns in Western Kenya, Luhya Council of Elders threw their weight behind the former premier. The elders insisting that Raila is the best bet for the community and the country as a whole.
Na kama sisi jamii ya Abaluhya wote kujumuisha Kakamega, Busia, Bungoma na Vihiga na Trans Nzoia, sisi wote maoni yetu ni moja. Nataka mtu ambaye anaweza kuongoza na kujumuisha wote kabila zote za Kenya.
Touring different stops in Kakamega County, Odinga said his promise of 6,000 shillings to the jobless and vulnerable was not empty rhetoric. Odinga said the monies will be expended through a social protection fund, just like in developed countries. He also promised to seal all loopholes being used by corrupt individuals to siphon public funds.
Pale hao watu wanapenya naye kwa hazina yetu na kuiba pesa yetu. Unajua hawa majambazi, hawa matapeli, mimi najua.
Raila also promised to revive defunct industries in Western Kenya, even as he blamed some leaders of blocking the privatization of the sugar sector for their own personal gains.
Sawa, tutahakikisha kwamba viwanda ambaye ziko zinafanya kazi na wakulima wanapata afueni. Kule tulipokuwa kule Kitale ilikuwa ni shida ya mahindi. Hapa ni shida ya sukari na miwa. Tutarekebisha haya yote ili watu wetu waweze kutembea na majivuno, wapate pesa kwa mifuko yao.
Na sisi wote tuko na shida, lakini shida yetu kubwa ambayo imetusumbua ni shida ya viongozi ambayo wamekuwa brokers.
Raila will take his Azimio la Umoja campaign to West Pokot County on Monday.
Still keeping up on matters politics is that a section of leaders allied to Deputy President William Ruto say opinion polls meant to falsely portray Odinga as a formidable candidate will not have a bearing on next year's elections.
The MP said Odinga's financials will be in for Ruto because Kenyans will make independent choices devoid of external pressure.
We are telling those guys in the deep state and those who own media houses and those who call themselves Mount Kenya Foundation, you cannot change the perception that UDA is the party of choice.
Hatutaki siasa ya sarakasi na hatutaki siasa ya fujo. Watu wajiuzie sera zao, wananchi wasikize na wa make decision.
The leaders said Kenyans should be left to choose their leaders without any form of coercion.
And we are telling those who are pushing Raila Odinga, we will beat him in 2022 by 2 million votes.
Na sasa hiyo opinion poll wanatuambia Nairobi ishagaki ni 100%. Na nataka niwaambie hata Kiambu ni 100% William Ruto na UDA.
Wale ndugu zetu wengine wanatuambia ati kwanza twende tupange kubadilisha katiba, ati tuongeze mamlaka ya viongozi, ati tuongeze vyeo ya viongozi. Mimi ninawaambia jameni, ngojeni kwanza tupange ajira ya hawa vijana.
The leaders further appealed to President Uhuru Kenyatta not to impose Odinga on Kenyans. They spoke in Maragua, Murang'a County, where they addressed residents in the company of the Deputy President and area MP Mary Wamawa.
Well, on that note, we take a quick breather. Remember, we'll be right back with more, including what has been happening in the sporting arena, so do keep it right here.
Uninvited guest, baby. Huwezi kukuhakikishia kuumia au kutoumia. Umuhimu atakuwa hai.
I am a professional businessman. Nakufahamu tena vizuri sana.
I want to talk to him now.
Hana! Hana? Hai Hana nini unaye? Mimi pia sina.
How can she be pregnant? I won't allow it. I won't.
Just calm down, he said. If anybody wants to hurt you or hurt our baby, I will not let them off. Not even the Empress.
Yesian is definitely testing the waters. I bet he has other plans.
You've been spoiled. How dare you talk back when I'm lecturing you?
You'll be watching as we wine and dive, and you will know you made a wrong move. If you don't treat me right, somebody's gonna get in line.
Stay with me, baby. If the world was ending, you'd come over, right? You'd come over and you'd stay the night. Can't sweet. Everybody wanna feel like it. Long time on a DJ in a dance. A long time on a chant in a dance. So we think stay, so we think stay down. So we think stay, so we think stay down. So the thing set, so the thing set. I saw the king set. The match up them out, we not fear them. Bang, boom, bang, boom, bang, boom, bang, fear them.
Welcome back. If you're just tuning in, this is In the Headlines and you're watching KBC Channel 1. I'm Regina Manyara. We take you to what has been happening in the political scene, where the One Kenya Alliance says it will not give in to external pressure to name a presidential flag bearer. On Sunday, the principals maintained they will not be rushed into picking the best among equals, urging Kenyans to trust Oka to rise to the occasion when the time is right.
The One Kenya Alliance principals visited Naivasha on Sunday amid mounting pressure on the parties to nominate a presidential flag bearer. The principals cooling heels, assuring their supporters that they will soon decide on who will lead the alliance into the 2022 presidential contest.
Mweke wanaoka kwa kichungi, mweke wengine kwa kichungi, alafu hatimaye
Nyinyi wenyewe mtaamua ni nani ambaye mnataka aongoze taifa.
Hatujachelewa. Mwaka 2007 kampeni zilipangwa moto August na uchaguzi ulikuwa Disemba. Mwaka 2013 na 17 haikuwa kampeni inaanza mwaka mmoja kabla.
Tuanze kuangalia mbele, tuanze kuangalia nyuma, tuanze kuangalia taifa liko wapi, linatoka wapi na linaelekea wapi.
Sisi katika One Kenya Alliance, hii One Kenya Alliance ndio inaona mbali. Unasikia maneno?
There has been some disquiet within the alliance that the principals and parties are speaking in different political voices. The principals urged Kenyans to make wise choices at the ballot. And as political realignments continue to take shape ahead of the 2022 general elections, Speaker of the National Assembly, Justin Muturi, has warned Kenyans not to be caged into one political party.
My main message is let us be in a party which identifies with our interests, our problems, the problems of our region, problems of our people.
Muturi says folding small political parties to form one strong party was not only ill-informed but also a killer of democracy. He noted that those advocating for the formation of one political party were playing underhand tactics that might end up cornering some hopefuls. Meanwhile, Treasury Cabinet Secretary Korea Tani has urged communities from pastoral regions to support the opium movement.
Tutafuata hiyo utaratibu ya rais, lakini pia tuko na lengo. Lengo letu ni kuhudumia na kusimamia watu wetu ambao kwa miaka zaidi ya 70 wamebaki nyuma ya maendeleo.
Tani says OPIA is designed to speak to the needs of the pastoral communities.
Where the National Safety and Transport Authority is calling on Kenyans to exercise caution on the roads as they head towards the festive season. According to the association's Deputy Director of Road Safety, Dr. Duncan Kibogong, who noted that the festive season is a peak period for accidents countrywide, calling on Kenyans to exercise personal responsibility.
It was a welcome reprieve for the crash victims at the National Spinal Injury Referral Hospital after they received 16 specialized wheelchairs for spinal injury patients, crutches and tripods to ease their mobility. The victims shared their life-changing accounts but at the same time encouraged each other to adjust to their new normal.
Mimi nilisikia sauti ya tire kubust, then ile sauti ya culvert. Kutokea hapo nikakuwa unconscious. Kumbe tulikanyaga the culvert, tukaroll, gari ikaenda kusimama. Nikaweza kuumia kwa kichwa, mahali ambapo mnaona kuna mkato uliopo kwa kichwa. Hapo nilikuwa nimefinyiliwa na roof ya gari.
So I started getting panicked. Will I be also lonely with no people around me? What next will I be doing?
Sio mimi wa kwanza kukalia wheelchair wala sijakuwa mwisho, si ndio? So kwa nini nilishikwa na stress? Silikuwa accept.
I pray to God for one thing, to make me understand between what I can and what I cannot, and to give me patience to live with what I cannot do. Like if I fall out of this wheelchair now, it's a fact I cannot pull myself out of there to the wheelchair, but anybody can come and pick me. That shouldn't bother me.
Getting a spinal cord injury, it will only be end of life when you don't accept yourself.
The hospital's Deputy Director of Medical Services, however, called for the devolution of the facility to other counties due to an ever-growing list of victims waiting to be admitted in the facility for treatment.
We only have 30 beds to rehabilitate the whole country, and not only the country, because we receive patients from both East Africa and even as far as Central Africa. A patient will come here, he will take a minimum of 3 months occupying that same bed, and it's only after that 3 months when another patient can be able to be admitted. Meanwhile, those patients are waiting in our counties, in Kenyatta National Hospital, and in other facilities.
NTSA's Deputy Director of Road Safety calling on Kenyans to exercise personal responsibility on the roads in line with this year's theme Low Speed, saying everyone has a role to play in road safety.
Up to 30 to 40% of road traffic crashes in this country, one or the other one, there's an element of speeding.
The National Council for Persons with Disability Leadership promised to walk the journey with the victims and support them not only until they are discharged from the facility. The crash victims were urged to be accepting of their situation and embrace therapy which aids recovery.
He who finds a wife finds a good thing. Now, after 50 years of marriage, a couple in Bahati, Nakuru County decided to share their love, a story with friends and neighbors. 78-year-old Peter Ndonge and his 75-year-old wife Sarah Wamboy renewed their vows, telling all and sundry that love is real and marriage works.
In the sleepy village of Kiamunyeki, Bahati Sub-County, the sky is awash with streaks of blue and the streets are painted red with song and dance, a celebration of the undying love between 78-year-old Peter Ndonge and his 75-year-old wife Sarah Wamboy. Sarah's eyes lit up with excitement while Peter's imminent joy can be seen in the sway of his calculated steps as they reminisce of the 1971 nuptials. They renew their vows after 50 years together as Sarah listens with fleeting blush and modest grace as Peter cannot choose not to gaze upon her face.
Kama alama kwa msaada wa Mungu. Katika pete hii kama alama tulifunga ndoa.
Theirs is a tale that the young see as a fleeting, lofty dream at a time when all they see is marital strife, divorce and spouse murders. The elderly couple says the secret lies in the ideals of tolerance, mutual understanding and patience.
Na tulikutana naye nikiwa kwa college ya walimu. Na tumekaa naye hiyo miaka yote 50. Na kukaa na mzee miaka 50 sio kazi rahisi. Imenibidi niwe nikimvumilia na yeye anivumilie.
Yaani inatakikana mke na bwana wawe wakihudhuria kanisa ili wawe wakifunzwa.
Marriage counselor Njoroge Githaiga and evangelist George Kagima emphasized the need for counseling to sustain marriages.
Tungependa wale ambao wako katika doa na wanaona doa ikiwa ngumu, ni vizuri waendelee kutafuta counselors ili waweze kurudishwa kwa laini wakati mambo yanakuwa magumu katika doa zao.
Weakness ya mwingine inakuwa ndio nguvu yako uweze kumsaidia ili muweze kwenda pamoja.
For Peter and Sarah, here is to infinity of their love.
Woo! How about we say those are life goals? I want to tweak it a little bit. They say he who finds a wife finds a good thing. I choose to go he or she who finds a soulmate. A soulmate has found a good thing. Because you might find a spouse, but they were not the one meant for you. So, 75, 78, their couple says that love is a beautiful thing and that marriage works. Jubilee celebrations there. Now let's cross over to stories that are making headlines in the counties, where the Directorate of Criminal Investigations has petitioned Treasury to suspend 2 managers of the Kenya Ports Authority amid investigations into a suspected container smuggling racket at the port of Mombasa.
The MPs, led by Mvita MP Abdul Swamand Nasir and Mishimboko of Likoni, are reading mischief in the manner in which the DCI is handling the matter.
Wakati huo wa hayo matukio yote yanayoambiwa yalifanyika kuhusiana na mambo ya makasha ama makontena, yeye alikuwa amepelekwa kule Kisumu na alikuwa anafanya kazi kule Kisumu. Na hapa bandari kulikuwa na watu wengine waliokuwa pale wakishughulika katika ile position ambaye yeye aliregeshwa kuifanya. Sasa itakuwaje wale waliokuwa katika hiyo position hawakuweza kuitwa kwa DCI, hawajaweza kutuhumiwa kwa mambo haya, lakini wanaotuhumiwa wengine ambao hawakuwa pale.
The DCI, however, reckons the two managers could interfere with the ongoing probe of the racket involving release of containers through a manual system which allows for cargo to exit the port without taxes being paid. Elsewhere, the move by the proposed SACCO bill that seeks to have external people manage SACCOs in the country has been castigated. Speaking during Unison SACCO Special AGM, Chairman James Mohindi said that SACCOs in the country have been run by officials elected from the membership, and introducing non-members to run will be ill-advised.
Tungesema sisi tungetaka kukaa vile tulizoea, bodi waruhusiwe wafanye mambo yao, society iruhusiwe kuchagua watu wao. Hao appointee ambao serikali inasema itakuja kuwachagua wakae nje.
The bill has proposed that the government will have at least 2 officials who will be overseeing the management of each SACCO, a move rejected by cooperators.
To the sporting arena, Equity Bank women's basketball team showed a sparkling performance and claimed a 53-51 points win over Hoops of Rwanda in the FIBA Africa Zone 5 Club Championship match that was played at the National Indoor Stadium, Dar es Salaam, Tanzania. Equity led 15-12, 12-8 in the opening 2 quarters before Hoops led 18-5 in the third. A spirited fight in the decisive quarter by the Kenyan champions saw them lead 18-15, giving them an edge in a close finish. It was the second victory for the Bankers, who rolled off the campaign with a 53-33 victory over Rwanda Energy Group. Equity will next week face Gladiators on Sunday. Super heavyweight gold medalist Ali Ajowi trounced Brian Omondi in an entertaining final bout as the curtains came down on the Jamal Cup boxing tournament at Charter Hall, Nairobi. The second edition of the Jamal Cup boxing tournament is slated for December 8th to the 11th in Kisumu County.
Africa Zone 3 super heavyweight gold medalist Ali Ajowi came into the bout aiming to prove his superiority in the category. Despite early exchanges, Brian Omondi could not cope with the hard-hitting Ajowi. The center referee was forced to stop the bout in the third round to hand Ajowi the victory. 2015 African Championship gold medalist Nick Okoth proved his prowess in his category after knocking out John Mwanzia of Githurai 44 in the first round. The Hit Squad captain was voted the best male boxer, Amina Martha the best female boxer, while Helen Wanjiro was voted the best referee and judge.
Referee na coaches wanafaa kwa kitu moja. Mnafaa muonge one language. Kwa sababu nyinyi ndio mna build box. Mambo hapa hivi kuna juniors zinakuja. Ta break out kama mjakuwa kitu moja aje. So it's up to you guys. Mko kitu moja, mjaribu to break box. Sisi tunafanya kazi yetu.
The second edition of the Jamal Cup boxing tournament is slated for December 8th to 11th in Kisumu County. The tournament will be used to select the national team for the Africa Championship and Women World Championship. The Africa Championship is slated for January 2022, while the Women World Championship will be held in March in Istanbul, Turkey.
8th to the 11th Saturday to there it's all going to be happening in Kisumu County. Now the team of Henry Kamute, Deep Shah, Joseph Karanja and Shirag Shah carded an impressive combined score of 115 points to emerge the winners of the first leg of the Johnny Walker Golf Series held at VetLab Sports Club. Their nearest challenger was a team comprising Priscilla Koryoba, Rachel Ndei, Cleopas Bor, Mark Korobia, who scored a combined 113 points to claim the runner-up position. Claiming the third and final qualifying position were the team of Caroline Mogoko, Onesimus Kibuna, Philip Go, and Anik Patel, who scored a combined total of 108 points. The top 3 teams' stellar performances have seen them become the first sides to qualify for the next round of series dubbed Road to Genegles.
Today was interesting because it's like we played 2 different courses. Initially the first 9, the course was playing really well. Then during the second 9 it started raining, so the dynamics changed. As in, you had to part harder. The course was a bit wet, we were a bit trained on, but we still enjoyed with our 4-ball.
I guess your guess is as good as mine. Manchester United have sacked Ole Gunnar, thank God. That is after Saturday's defeat of 1-2 Watford, so to speak. And the first coach, Michael Carrick, has been placed on a temporary charge while the United team that is seek an interim coach to end of the season. Remember, you can get further details, including what has been happening as far as, the FA Cup is concerned, on our website.
Better and better for Watford. We also saw this as well, Tim. What happened here?
Well, Bruno was just trying to protect him. Obviously, Ollie's coming under a little bit of fire here from United fans. He's doing what he feels is the right thing to come thank the travelling fans. I think you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. He's obviously going over there and they started to criticise him, and then you see Bruno behind him. He's saying, not him, not only him, all of us, collective. It's about all of us. Now, that's not the time to protect your manager. The time to protect your manager is when, during the 90 minutes, run around, start putting...
Well, that's that. We'll be keeping tabs on that. Remember, it's indeed that the EPL is on. At least it gives us something to look forward for, especially when it is game night. Now let's go down memory lane. Now, since 1996, November 21st has been observed as a World Television Day. That was yesterday. Now, the day was used to commemorate the date in which the first World Television Forum was held. Since then, a lot has changed over the years, and TV has gained popularity and found its way into more households and continues to shape opinions. Our reporter Stephanie Amondi with the details.
The United Nations General Assembly proclaimed 21st November as World Television Day in recognition of the increasing impact television has on decision-making. According to the UN, TV has brought the world's attention to conflicts and threats to peace and security. In Kenya, TV has been a great source of entertainment and information throughout the COVID-19 pandemic period. The curtailing of the movement saw the rise of home-based learning, be it religious or formal education.
Siku hizi unapata wanajifundisha vitu zingine kama weekend, tunaona show tofauti, unapata news, zile vitu vimefanyika mbalimbali na watch ball. Si kama huko nyuma labda ulikuwa unapata habari labda kwa jirani.
TV is very important to me. One is for entertainment. It informs us. Even for preaching, we get the word of God from TV. Nowadays, we get since the church has not opened fully, we get a lot of word from the TV.
Stephen Oundo sells TV sets within the Nairobi Central Business District. He says TV has made a lot of impact in his life.
Siku ikuwa nzuri tunaweza uza hata TV kama 5, 10. Inategemea vile siku iko.
Joshua Solomon says television has for a long time been his source of entertainment and has a word for those who are yet to own it.
Vijana ambao wana TV wanapitwa na mambo mingi sana. Juu sasa kuna vitu ambazo kwa TV huwezi pata katika radios, hizo stations. By the way, inaweza one device kama mtu ana ajaribu tu apate moja hata kama ni alone.
In major cities such as Nairobi, billboards too are gradually going digital, choosing motion over pictures in the race for consumer attention.
As the world advances in technology, access to TV is becoming as easy as buying a loaf of bread. What's next? Time will tell.
Well, that puts a cap in as far as news is concerned, but we're not done and dusted here. We have so much lined up for you, including what is happening on our major roads that is coming up with Stephanie, as well as we're going to be sampling what we have on our various dailies this morning. Over to you, Steph.
us to check at how our roads are doing with a specific focus on Jogoo Road. But before we do that, let's just try to take to look at how the technology behind the Google traffic. So Google Maps came about in 2005, but when it started, it didn't show the live traffic updates. So Google Maps actually relied on historical traffic data to make future predictions on how the roads will be. For example, time of day, day of the week, and the month of the year. An example is at 8 a.m. on Mombasa Road on a Monday morning, there will be probably some very heavy traffic there, but on a Sunday morning, across most of the roads, there's probably a free flow of traffic. So that's how it used to analyze the traffic on the road. But this was an imperfect solution, because what would happen to a driver who's used to a road free flow of traffic, but then suddenly there's an accident, or maybe there's some construction going on over there, so they would experience traffic delays. So Google sat and thought, let's come up with a new idea on how to check on real traffic. So we'll get back to that right after we look at how Jogoo Road is doing. So let's go to our roads. So those coming from areas of Tenna, Doni and the likes, joining from the Donholm roundabout, they find a clear road all the way up to areas of Makadara region, that is on the opposite side of the road as you're heading into the CBD. And there is a gridlock in this area. This is a very heavy traffic with a maroon color indicating no movement. This is a standstill. So this could be owed to the fact that some students are going back to school, but this is still too early to say that, considering not all the students are going. This is just the boarders that are going back to school, and the traffic goes all the way to the Mbotela region. When you get into the Mbotela region, we see it opens up a bit with a red color indicating slightly not so heavy traffic, but again we see the maroon color indicating heavy traffic. This is a standstill, but it opens up as you head to the Likoni roundabout there, which looks good all the way to where we get to the Rikana roundabout here. Cars coming from areas of Bahati join in, and they find the road quite clear. It's clear of traffic all the way up to you get to areas close to the City Stadium, where we see there's some gridlock there with the red and maroon color indicating heavy traffic. There's a standstill. The movement here is on a bumper to bumper kind of, a trend. So you might stay on the road for quite a while before you get to the Nairobi City Stadium roundabout there. But once you're past the roundabout, joining to Ladis Road, you get the road very clear. There's a free flow of traffic all the way to opposite the SK Business Center. This is around Nasiko. As you head to town, this is the opposite side of the road as you head into the CBD. And then they're close to the Nasiko Plaza again. We see slightly heavy traffic there as you approach town, but this is nothing serious considering it's not the maroon color. It will open up very soon. It's moving. That is on the positive note. So when you get to the Mudhuru roundabout, you decide on which route you want to use getting into the CBD. If you take the Haile Selassie route, we see that there's a gridlock there, and there's the red color indicating some slightly heavy traffic. So you will consider other routes, but first let's just walk through it. Taking that route, we find the gridlock there up to around Wakulima Market. But from there, all the way from Enacoach, as we approach the Moi Avenue roundabout there's some traffic, but it opens up because at this time there's usually some traffic police controlling traffic in this area, so there's nothing to be worried about. You won't stay on the road for too long, and after bomb blast you're inside the CBD. From also the Mudhuru roundabout, you could decide to continue with Ladis Road if you want to get in through to the Ronald Ngala Street. So you can take Ladis Road, go through Uyoma Lane as you get past the bus station, St. Peter's Clovers, and you get to Ronald Ngala, and you're inside the CBD from there. We'll take a look at how the road develops later on. But before we take that break, let's go back to our story on Google Traffic. So how Google Traffic came up with the live traffic updates is that in 2017, after people had bought smartphones which were location aware, Google sat and thought, hey, let's look at how many phones are on the road so that they know the location of your car, and thus they could predict the live location. Thus they could predict where you are and how traffic is flowing in that area. Then now currently Google uses a combination of GPS plus the cell towers near you, the signal delay between smartphones and the cell towers near you to reveal the live traffic updates. And that's about the technology behind it. We take a small break and we'll be back with the headlines.
Log on to the KBC website at www.kbc.co.ke to get the latest breaking news, entertainment, sports, politics, lifestyle or business trends from Kenya and around the world. Never miss new episodes from your favorite TV shows, reruns and movies. Just stream online or watch live on your YouTube channel at KBC Channel 1 TV shows. For the day's biggest stories, trustworthy news and family entertainment, log on to KBC Channel 1. Watch what you want anytime, anywhere.
The Amazons did not want me to find you here gambling. I'm telling you, you're not going anywhere. You are staying.
Vicente lost the ranch because of Madame Bernarda.
Prosecution accepts the evidence and requests that an arrest warrant be issued against Mr. Julio Flores, who is now the main suspect for the fraud committed against Mr. Victoriano Santos.
Where did she go?
I don't know. We've been looking for her. Where do you think you're going with her?
I'm not going to tell you.
You'll never break us apart.
Babe, ni nani?
Uninvited guest, baby.
Huwezi kukuhakikishia kuumia au kutoumia. Umuhimu atakuwa hai.
I am a professional businessman. Nakufahamu tena vizuri sana.
I want to talk to him now.
Hana! Hana? Hai Hana nini unaye? Mimi pia sina.
How can she be pregnant? I won't allow it. I won't.
Just calm down.
He said, if anybody wants to hurt you or hurt our baby, I will not let them off. Not even the Empress.
Yesian is definitely testing the waters. I bet he has other plans.
You've been spoiled. How dare you talk back when I'm lecturing you?
Welcome back. We are glad you are still keeping us company. We want to continue with Good Morning Kenya, and we move on to In the Headlines Part 2 and just get to have a look at what the papers have for us this day. Remember, our communication platforms still remain open. We are using the hashtag Good Morning Kenya on Twitter. Our official station handle ever remains to be at KBC Channel 1. Our individual handles are at Victor Olo, at Ray Manyara, at Jade Wamboi. Stephanie utatukumbusha handle yako in a bit. But let me start you off with the Daily Nation. So busy today. So many stories have been featured here. Most of the stories that are on this front page are very political given the events that have happened over the weekend. We start with Ruto, where he said, I will win the race to State House in the first round. And not just winning, but winning with a cool 54% of the entire votes that will have come in. Then we'll be giving you details as per how this daily has captured this story. The next story is in regards to what happened in Western, when it's currently where the former Premier Raila Odinga was touring, and they said, give us the DP slot in Western, and also allocate 5 cabinet slots from the Western bloc in order to just pay us back for the support that we have shown you over the years. More details coming up in a bit. And on the other hand, we also have Occam, who say that we are not in any talks with DP. And Kalonzo Musyoka, Wiper Party leader, went on to also dismiss this hearsay that has been going around the rumor mill, saying that he's being courted by this political leader or this other party, or, reverting back to ODM, saying that, it is quite laughable because none of that is a reflection of the true state of affairs. Coming to the main read, Maraga, top lawyer in ugly court battle. Now, the case will come up for mention before Judge Said Jumwa Chitembe on the 8th of December. And in his response to this, the defamation suit that was filed by retired Chief Justice David Maraga over a 220 million bribe that was allegedly given to a Supreme Court whose name is yet to be mentioned, by city lawyer Ahmed Nasir, who claims that the retired CJ has a history of soliciting favors, and they should also go further and question Mr. Maraga's lifestyle and source of wealth over the years that he has been practicing. And he goes on to give the genesis of how, he came to know the former CJ, and just trying to paint a picture of what he has been saying in regards to this bribe case involving 220 million Kenya shillings. And also this story concerning what the CS of Health had to say: no beer, no travel without the COVID-19 vaccination certificate, and anyone who will not have been vaccinated against the coronavirus might be denied services as of the 21st of December. And these are government services, to be specific. What do the people have to say about this? I'll be telling you what this paper has for us. And finally, junior high rollout gets 4 billion boost. And this is in line with the president's directive to the Ministry of to the National Treasury on Madaraka Day, or on Mashujaa Day when he directed Treasury to allocate 8 billion Kenya shillings to go towards the construction of new classrooms, at least 10,000 classrooms, in order to accommodate junior high, given we'll be having 2 rollouts. We'll be having class 7s who will be joining secondary schools by then, and also the current grade 5s who will be joining junior high then. 2 sets of transitioning. So in order to accommodate all these numbers, 10,000 classrooms ought to have been constructed by then. But as it stands, 4 billion has been released to the Ministry of Education. We'll be giving you more details in regards to the stories in a bit. Victor?
All right, and on the front page of this Star newspaper here. All right, there you have it. On the front page of the Star newspaper, Kalonzo calls key party meeting to decide 2022 bid. Key invitees are President Uhuru Kenyatta and former NASA allies. Wiper leader says that he will not play second fiddle to anyone. We are waiting to see how that will play out, giving you details shortly. And again, Kenyans to show proof of vaccination for services. Again, that has been touched since yesterday. And just some tidbits there. Pilots, cabin crew, matatu and border borders to be inoculated as well. And you have it there. So starting December 21st, you will not get all the government-owned services if you are not fully vaccinated. Ruto begins 5-day tour of Rift Valley backyard. On Monday, the DP is expected in Narok County for a series of functions, and on Tuesday, he will be in Belgut, Kericho County, where he will traverse the constituency, conducting youth and women's empowerment programs. On Wednesday, he will start his day in Nandi County and later attend an interdenominational church function in his home county of Uasin Gishu. And on Thursday, the DP will pitch tent in Nakuru County, and on Friday take his campaigns to Nyandarua. He will be back to Kwale on Saturday. That is as per his itinerary. On that story about Juma locking up for a long time, says terrorist Juma's father. Mother helped him to get security guard job in South Sea. He embraced radical Islam. Patrick Odhiambo, the father of convicted terrorist Joseph Juma, wants the government to give his son a merciless sentence for attempting to escape from community maximum prison. He believes that for his terror links and his escape from jail, 30-year-old Juma, aka Yusuf, should be behind bars for a long time. Yeah, that is from a father. And I quote, "And when he's finally freed, he will be shown my gravesite. That is, if he doesn't return in a coffin himself." Because of what he did, the government should add more years on top of the ones he was serving. He will find me long dead and buried. He will only be shown my grave. Now, let me just put it this way. The good book says that obey your parents and, your days will be on your father, all right? So when you hear your father telling the government, muongeze zingine on top of what already he was serving, just know that you are completely out of the good books with your father. And that is not so good. We all know parents protect their kids, their children, by all means. But imefika a point where a parent says, if he doesn't come back in a coffin, he will come and find my grave. So either way.
Heavy, especially coming from a parent, but also to just chime in, is that you'll find that there are other parents who, I don't know, something goes wrong at some point, and they're the ones who make their children suffer. I want to draw your attention to a story that was highlighted in the media, and it went actually to court in a murder investigation, where the culprit ended up being the father who had organized the murder of his son and the wife and the children. You remember that case? Yeah, and it turned out that it was the father all along who had, done that. So, we talk about what parents should inherently do, and that is protect your offspring because you brought them to this earth. There are some who have fallen by the wayside, and they're the ones who are leading, in hurting their children. There's a report also here that has been captured in this particular daily, being the Standard, that indicates that the situations at home, a majority of them have been blamed for the high rates of depression. Yeah. And depression, not just onto grown-ups, but also children. Jane? You can pick it up. What do you think about this issue of, the role of parents, especially when it comes, to depression among especially the children, so to speak, that you grow up with childhood trauma that later affects your life as an adult?
I think from also what I have seen, the younger generation that just follows us, you know, after the millennials, we have the Gen Z, that they're the ones that have come out to be very expressive, and sadly, also the biggest lot that have been affected with depression, because their way of living and understanding and the times that they're currently in are, in all circumstances, incomparable to what we have experienced, to what our parents have experienced, you know. And we actually termed the millennials are the ones in between the baby boomers and the Gen Z. So at least for us, the millennials, we're able to benefit from both sides of the divide, you know, from what our parents went through, their journeys, you know, akitupigia story za kutembea bila viatu, I did what I did to get to where you are today, and Gen Z, who, you know, we are who we are in this time that we are in, regardless of what the previous generation went through. So we, being in the middle, have been able to see at least the good and bad of both sides of the divide. But also, Gen Z is a rather different lot. They are, you know, outspoken and defiant, quote unquote, and that in one way or the other has brought a lot of friction when it comes to how some of them relate with their parents, saying, you know, my parents are wananifungia, hawanipei hii, they're not giving this to me, and consequently leading them into depression. Okay? And on the other hand, we have the parents who are saying, I am doing all this for them, for their good, and they don't seem to see that until much later when they will come to see that. So I think it's a two-way street, and arguably so. There's really nothing much we can do because our parents did the best that they could with what they have or what they had. Millennials or the Gen Z are doing the best that they can with what they have, and finding a middle ground seems to be the hardest part of this whole equation. And consequently, the many cases of depression that we are seeing, and especially among the youth, the younger population. So many cases of depression are being reported today. You hardly go through a lot of 10 youths today, you will not fail to find at least one who is either depressed or is going through getting treatment for depression, either through therapy or medication, antidepressants, just something that is linked to depression. So in one way or the other, you can't separate the two. We just have to find a way of working together. But sadly, it usually comes after such a long time of struggles, of friction, of misunderstanding each other, before you get to that sweet space where as a child you understand your parent, and as a parent you understand your child better. Yeah. Tricky grounds, tricky grounds.
The Generation Z, times have changed, and you see parents are still trying to raise their kids from the way they were raised during their times, and this is where the conflict begins, because you see Generation Z wants some sort of freedom. Because, you know, things have become hard during this time, and they want just to be out there, to be themselves, but parents have come up, you know, with the strict rules and everything. So I think it will just be good for parents to have a good relationship, a very tight relationship with their children. This would help so that even when your child is depressed or going through something, it's easy for you to identify and do something about it, and don't raise your kid based on a certain, you know, a certain mark sheet. Just find your own way, your own path with your child, and I think things will be better when we approach things differently from how they were in the past. With the new, of course, with the new era comes new things. So these are my 2 cents.
All right. So all that we've said is related to what Juma's father said about his son. It's quite unlikely to hear a father or a parent say, I'm done with you. My son, my daughter, nimemaliza na wewe. So let it not get to that point. Okay, very quickly, to some politics. Kalonzo convenes NDC for State House battle. Wiper leader Kalonzo Musyoka has convened the party's supreme decision-making arm, the National Delegates Convention, on Thursday to receive blessings to run for presidency. It is said that Kalonzo, who is planning his second term at the presidency since 2017 debut, plans to assemble more than 6,000 party delegates from across the country at the expansive Kasarani Gymnasium. in a show of might. The August 9th general election is just but around the corner. And finally, Oka denies its wooed by DP Ruto and Raila. Principals say that they are united and ready to support one of them as flag bearer. So the alliance termed as far-fetched and imaginations. Media reports that it was keen to work with either ODM leader Raila Odinga or Deputy President William Ruto. There are reports that Raila and Ruto are keen to woo the four principals of Oka to form a formidable team for their election. But now Wiper leader Kalonzo Musyoka said that they have not been approached by any leaders as alleged, noting that they would go all the way to the ballot. And on the sports, something that we usually don't do here, Hamilton wins. For those people who are Formula One lovers, Hamilton wins in Qatar to close on Verstappen. That is 7 times world champion Lewis Hamilton won the inaugural Qatar Grand Prix for Mercedes on Sunday to cut Max Verstappen's overall Formula One lead to 8 points with 2 races remaining. I know there's so many fans of Formula One, and there you have it, Hamilton going head-to-head with Vas, and of course Tundo, Savo's 4th win of the season in KCB Thika Rally Thriller. That happened navigated by long-standing co-driver Jim Jesop in a Mitsubishi Evo 10. Tundo clocked 1 hour, 47 seconds, 0.9 hours to beat series champion Baldev Chaga by 0.294 seconds. Tundo was the victor on the ARC Equity Rally in his mini motorsport VW4 Polo R5, won Machakos Rally, and Nanyuki in his R4 Evolution Machine. Is it machine? Yeah, from where we come from. It's called a machine, but when you say machine, apuna shrub, you say machine, that's the correct one. You'd say machine, you're shrubbing.
Regina. Basically, that is me trying to speak Turkana there. Tubong Lore. So the 6th Turkana Tourism Cultural Festival is going to be happening next month between the 6th, actually the 9th to the 11th of December. And we know, in as much as we refer to it as a Turkana festival, it is held within Marsabit County, which happens to be the largest county in the country. And it's the origin of mankind, the cradle of mankind, so to speak. So if you have no plan, now that we know that if you are not vaccinated, you will not be using the SGR. You can start driving to the opposite direction, you know.
Accessible. The roads are nowadays very good. You can drive from Nairobi to
Good,
Turkana.
and actually the north is very beautiful.
Very beautiful.
It's very scenic.
You know, Ray, that word you said, I thought that was a French word.
Oh, Tubong Lore.
Tubong Lore.
Tubong. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it correct. Coming, thinking, remembering where I come from. Watu Avant. Sisi tulienda Avant. Leave us alone. And we actually got insulted when a politician last week insulted our intellects, my friend. We will not take that kindly, my friend. In our home area. In how hapo nyumbani, unajua? You'd rather have someone, insult you in their land or in no man's land, but come and insult you in your home area, man.
The audacity.
Iyo nguvu. Alitoa wapi? Anyway, that was just on a very light note. So just in case you're thinking, you know, Mombasa is a plan, what we know is that so far the SGR, if you like, the Madaraka Express has been booked, fully booked, so to speak, for the December holidays. And now that directive there to have persons who traveling on board the SGR fully vaccinated. Well, the government doesn't say that it is a must that you get vaccinated for you to use these services. I think more or less, if you're not fully vaccinated, well, forget government services next year. And if you keenly listened to the Health Cabinet Secretary's speech yesterday, he says that he knows that people are going to go to court over this directive. And very well so, because there's so many questions that are going through my mind at this point. At what point does government deny its citizenry its services, yet the citizenry are the ones that fund government services, so to speak, through taxes that they pay? Because you getting your national ID is your civil right. I mean, the services that are your right, you and I. So this is walking a very gray area, so to speak. So we're waiting to see if indeed there are people who are going to go to the courts over that directive that has been made. There have been questions since this particular speech was made public, and stories followed through, because I want to read what was been quoted in some of the Twitter handles that we have. Is that is this COVID jab a cure? So there's that tweet there. So someone just asking, so when now it has come to this, but is it a cure? Remember, government says that just needs to get, we want like herd immunity, so to speak. However, not herd immunity per se, because you may be fully vaccinated and still contract COVID-19. What they want is to reduce, the deaths, as well as also avoiding a shutdown of the economy. Talking about what the ripples of COVID-19 in the Netherlands, the Dutch government is engaged in running battles with the citizenry there, protesting a full lockdown owing to the increase of cases, COVID-19 cases. Now they're on full lockdown. Over 500 protesters there were engaged in demonstrations on the streets there. So there's so much that is happening as far as COVID-19 is concerned. Front page of the Standard, matters COVID, as well as matters of politics. There's been a question, Victor, and I'm sure you're going to be tackling this as we focus on iron politics. What pact did Uhuru and Raila make? What pact? What were the details? What were the details of the handshake, so to speak? And according to National Assembly Speaker, that is Justin Muturi, and he has been quoted on the front page of the Standard this morning. He says Raila's reluctance to declare his planned stab at the presidency is perhaps because of his retirement deal with Uhuru. He claims that the head of state, or rather he reveals, that is Justin Muturi, that the handshake and Raila's retirement from politics. So if you look at what the former PM has been doing across the country, he's talking about what he would do if he was declared president. And we are yet to have ODM, his party, declare him as the flag bearer. We have not had that yet. So the matrix of the political scene, I think Victor is going to be engaging some political analysts on the same, and also now bringing about the conversation around OCA that says we are going to be together, united towards the very end. In quick summary, that's what we have on the front page of the Standard this morning.
So let's take a look at the People's Daily, which is Kenya's #1 free newspaper. So making the splash on the front page is the no vaccine, no service CS warns. More on this story is that CS stated that all motorable operators, that is drivers, conductors, border riders, pilots, air hostesses, and all other working in the sector should be fully vaccinated and carry proof of vaccination. Also, the counties with low vaccination uptake are such as Siaya, Meru, Bungoma, Busia, Migori, Kakamega, and Homa Bay, despite high population density having recorded below 5% vaccination rate. The government is also expecting up to 12 million more vaccines doses in the next few days. So the minister had directed that vaccination for 15-year-olds with Pfizer will start tomorrow. So the estimated population in this group is 5.7 million. So everyone above 15 years is expected to be vaccinated. So, and he goes ahead to say we have so far received 10.7 million doses and administered nearly 6.4 million doses. Quoting, I am happy to report that among our priority groups, 88% of our health workers and 79% of our teachers are now fully vaccinated. Okay, that's about it. Another story, making still on the page 4, youth are urged to apply for Kazi Mtaani. Kiambu County Commissioner Wilson Wanyaga has urged the youth to apply for recruitment in the third phase of the Kazi Mtaani program. He explained that the program is seeking to hire both skilled and unskilled workers, and that he's still urging youth to apply for the jobs, assuring them that in this online application process, both male and female genders will be considered fairly, including those people living with disabilities. So for all youths out there, go ahead and apply for this. Another story still on page 4 is that IBC 2022 plans in limbo as tribunal revokes ballot tender. So the IEBC is in a crisis as it prepares for the 2022 elections after the tribunal nullified the award of 2.8 billion ballot paper contract to a Greek firm. This is the Public Procurement Administration Review Board set aside the electorate body recommendation to award the tender to the firm Inform Licois SA. The firm was to supply ballot papers and election result forms, but now the board has said due diligence was not done in the tendering process. Also making the front page is a sad story about 2 deaths that occurred at a Nairobi hotel, and police are investigating the mysterious deaths of a British Broadcasting Corporation journalist and a Kenyan man at Nairobi hotel on Friday morning. The body of the journalist, identified as Catherine Michelle Rowena, was found in her city hotel room, with preliminary investigations showing that she was stabbed before being strangled to death. Police said initial investigations pointed to a murder-suicide case. Adding that the man whose body was found in the same Ibis-styled hotel in Westlands died from a fall. So detectives are conducting a thorough investigations on this matter. A lot of the stories have already been discussed from the other dailies. The other one is on sports that Ole Gunnar has been sacked, and because of the dramatic 4-1 embarrassment at the hands of struggling Watford was the final straw for the Petitioned United board. So those are some of the stories making news on the People's Daily.
All right, thank you so much. We just have to take a break at this particular point. We have got so much more coming up in the next hour, including Eye on Politics. Stay with us.
Not want me to find you here gambling. I'm telling you, you're not going anywhere. You are staying.
Vicente lost the ranch because of Madam Bernarda.
Prosecution accepts the evidence and requests that an arrest warrant be issued against Mr. Julio Flores, who is now the main suspect for the fraud committed against Mr. Victoriano Santos.
Where did she go?
I don't know. We've been looking for her. Where do you think you're going with her?
I'm not going to tell you.
You'll never break us apart.
Kitwek FM Kegosin.
Kupata skiza tune hii, Ufunuo wa Yohana 38 dial *811 *817 hash.
Wakati mwingi katika maisha binadamu hujipata kwa shida, unapata ya kwamba hauna usaidizi unaohitaji, biashara zinaisha, hakuna mapato ya kila siku. Lakini hata kwa hayo yote, Biblia inasema ya kwamba katika kitabu cha Ufunuo wa Yohana mlango wa 3 mstari wa 8, na yajua matendo yako. Tazama, nimekupa mlango uliofunguliwa mbele yako.
Ili kupata skiza tune hiyo ya Yohana 3:8, dial *811 *817 hash. Dial *811 *817 hash.
Back to our traffic updates. Let's take a look at how Jogoo Road is doing from last time we checked it. So yeah, back to Jogoo Road. We move on to where it begins, and this is around the Donholm roundabout over there. Just after you get to Jogoo Road, we see a smooth flow of traffic up to where we get to Hamza, around Hamza area. This is where Rabai Road joins to Jogoo Road. We see some gridlock there with a maroon indicating standstill traffic all the way. This goes all the way up to areas of around the Likoni roundabout. We don't see any green here, green to indicate a free flow of traffic. We don't see any green here, so to say that this area is of a crazy zone if you're just coming from home. Around the Motela area, just past the Likoni roundabout, we see the traffic opening up a bit. It goes on past the Rikana roundabout all the way to areas of Kaloleni, where we see the red and maroon indicating heavy traffic there. As you go past the roundabout again, it gets better. So once you pass the City Stadium roundabout, there's a free flow of traffic up to areas of Mudhurwa, where there's a gridlock all the way past the SK Business Center to the Stage Market. This is on the other side of the road as you're headed to the CBD. It goes all the way up to the Mudhurwa roundabout there, but it's not as heavy as it was around the Stage Market. So it opens up a bit once you pass the country bus going on to the CBD through the Mudhurwa roundabout. After you're past the roundabout, again, the traffic still continues. The traffic is still heavy. This is on bumper to bumper kind of traffic. It goes all the way past the Cho number 9, or if you like, the KPCU roundabout. But when you get to Easy Coach there, as you're approaching the Moi Avenue roundabout, it opens up real good. Another option is that you could enter the CBD through this roundabout into bus station and get to Ronald Ngala. Also, you could take the Mudhurwa roundabout through OTC as you get into town to Rodal Gala. So currently, the roads are very heavy on traffic. The road is very heavy on traffic. If you're coming from areas of Donholm, Umoja, and Buruburu, you might want to consider taking another route. This would be the Isili route, but we'll take a look at that once we are back with the traffic updates. So that's it from the traffic.
Shifting gears to Eye on Politics, today we want to talk about matters One Kenya Alliance, and they are sending mixed signals across the country. Why are they not giving us their preferred candidate? It's been being postponed day in, day out, and yesterday all of them appeared, after a very long time. The four of the four principals appeared together at a church function in Naivasha, and they said they are going to give one of their own who is going to run for the presidency. But that is now sending mixed signals, since they have actually, even in the papers, said that the reports out there in the media is that either they are not agreeing to any of the preferred invitation to join either Deputy President William Ruto or ODM leader Raila Odinga, and they say they are running their own race. So what is in the heads of One Kenya Alliance principles? That is what I want us to talk about and focus for us to understand, because they were seen or purported to be a third horse race or a third force ahead of 2022. So today I have Wakili, who is still here with us today. Wakili, good morning.
Good morning.
Good to see you.
It's great to be here.
Fantastic. And of course, Daniel Orogo, who is also disappears and comes back. There you have him. He's here. Daniel, good morning.
Good morning. It's a pleasure to be here this morning.
Absolutely.
It's a long weekend.
Was it?
It was. Arsenal fans in Manchester can tell you it's a long weekend.
I don't know why you just had to start with that.
Yeah.
I don't know why we suffered. For once, Man U were beaten 4-1. Arsenal were beaten 4-0.
You know, the tragedy is that it's reported that one of the Manchester United fans in Kampala,
yes,
has set himself and has hanged himself. So Ole is burning schools down here in Kenya, but also other people are dying in Uganda as well. It's good that he's going,
I don't want to mention Regina's name. Being a Manchester United fan, I've said I don't want to mention Regina's name on air. Oh, I did. Oh, yes. Somebody committed suicide in Uganda?
Yes.
Okay.
But of course, there is now the dividend of it. Ole is now out.
And they really prayed for it.
Yeah. And most of the fans, I think they saw it coming. It was long overdue.
It was long overdue. But that happens in football, even in management, so to speak, everywhere around the world, that if it's not working with person X, person Y, you can bring person B, then can try a lot of that. So talk of football. Back home, we are playing the political game, and that's what we want to discuss today. But before we get there, if you've not been vaccinated, no government services. Wakili, from your understanding, how about that, legally speaking?
I think I wouldn't wish to go into the politics of the vaccination and the COVAX fund that the government is normally given versus now making sure that it's a compulsory for you to get any government services. Vis-a-vis the number of Kenyans versus the number of vaccines that we have that have been donated so far. So I think, but it's a good move. I've always argued that vaccination is the first medical defense we have in terms of fighting corona, vis-a-vis wearing of mask and doing sanitization, and of course washing hands. So it's a good move, but of course there is more politics behind it, probably politics that we wouldn't wish to dwell into it, but let's see how it goes.
Yeah. Daniel, did you have to get to that point as Kenyans, that before you get all the government services, first of all, you have to show proof?
Well, I think the pointers were that we were slowly headed towards, having a vaccine being compulsory, especially when we have you and an individual that is in contact with several people. and probably working in spaces where so many people get in contact with. Here we are talking about, the public health providers at the airports, at the ports. So these are where, even if you're traveling, because I foresee some countries have made even compulsory that, even including UK, that once you are going to, to visit, when they lifted that, the advisory they had about being the hotspot, the country being the hotspot for COVID, I think one thing that they made compulsory in United Kingdom is that you have to show proof that you had been vaccinated as you get into their countries. United States is also making that compulsory. But I think as Kenyans, especially for purposes of public health regulations, this is not a surprise to me, because I foresaw a situation where the government of Kenya would pronounce itself that now it's reaching a point when now you have to have a vaccination, that you've been vaccinated. There is a proof that you have to showcase that you had been vaccinated. Now, what Wakili talked about, it's a different thing. Looking at the dimension of the politics of vaccination, it's also interesting to say that Anthony Blinken was here, the U.S. Secretary of State. And one of the commitments that United States made is that they are having COVID vaccines, being donated to 50 countries and through African CDC and through various countries CDC. There's going to be access to to vaccination, and of course there's not going to be a debate as to why a number of people have been vaccinated and haven't been vaccinated. So I think when we were offset, I could hear that you guys were talking about the numbers, the statistics that is coming out of Government Ministry of Health vis-a-vis the vaccines that have been provided and available so far. So I think it is quite important to also to mention that, really to give that introspection. When are we giving too much vaccine and people are not turning out to be vaccinated? Is it a matter of attitudinal? Is it a matter of the government and the Ministry of Health not doing much to reach out, to appeal to people to be vaccinated? I think that would be a discussion for another day. So it doesn't
have any legal implication, Wakili or David?
It doesn't have any legal connotation, but I think he has pinpointed a very important thing, and I would wish to compliment by saying that we are African, and African, these were democracies much pushed. And one of the bad net effect of democracy is that you find a country like Kenya and its sisters in Africa, people tend to be anti-government and anti-authority. And people also tend to practice what I would call police intimidation. You find even when Corona was starting, when a curfew was installed, there are people would still see them loitering around 10, 11. And when you ask them, or the police is trying to enforce a certain the curfew regulation, they will tell you that they have freedom of movement or freedom of speech. So I think that's what you find in a place like America. You don't need to make a vaccination compulsory. In terms of the people who turn out to go and get vaccinated, and the way they know the importance of returning to their new normal. By when now vaccination was getting donated in Africa, America has already vaccinated 65 to 70% on voluntary. We discussed with you about even people registering as residents in Article 38. We find that even volunteering to go and have register so that you can make a voting and pick the leader of your choice, it's become very hard. So I think it's good for it to be enforced as a compulsory, although it doesn't have any legal backing, so that we can return to the new normal. But I think in whole, Kenyans need to change their software in terms of the way they think and the way they view different issues.
All right. So I think it's quite important that without all the government, ultimatum that was given yesterday by the CSS, it's important even for your own personal sake. I mean, it doesn't get any better than that. You just have to get vaccinated for your own sake and for the rest of your family members and even friends. Okay. So now let's get into the real politics of the day. A lot happened over the weekend. We have got DP, who is actually starting his 5-day tour of the Rift Valley today through to Thursday. And ODM leader Raila Odinga was traversing better part of Western, that was in Kitale, and yesterday he was in Kakamega County. All of them trying to woo their voters and actually consolidate their voting bloc as per what they believe in, so that come next year, they might get that seat first round. But that aside, One Kenya Alliance is still in the lips of many. And in one of the newspaper here, they said that they are going through to the ballot, to the wire. So let me just ask you, Wakili, and today let's focus on One Kenya Alliance. Starting with a very simple question. Would you please tell me, if you look at the heads of all the principals, what do you think rings in their heads politically?
I think One Kenya Alliance, and I think you mentioned earlier as we were starting the conversation that they were plotting, or they wanted to be the third force. And I'll start by discussing the three options they have. They can either vie on their own, either the 5 principals,
yes,
or one principal and deputized by another principal. That's the first option they have. Another option they have, it's either to support either of these leading candidates, may it be the deputy president or Mheshimiwa Raila Odinga. And the third option, which now the newspaper or the Daisy are exploring,
yes,
is them vying us together. So they can either be hunted in those three options, either separately or either together. But they'll have to look at various issues in terms of even their relevance post-2022, because we will not have politics until 2022. We'll have even politics way fast forward post-2022.
Yes.
How do you see you are relevant? Will it be relevant for you vying? And if I bring the scenario, perhaps Dr. William Ruto wins. If he wins the presidency, he'll have probably to go for 10 years. He'll have to, for him, he'll groom a younger generation, people who can really look up to him, people who he can be able to control, compared to these senior politicians in the name of Musalia Mudavadi and Kalonzo Musyoka. The other option is when Raila Odinga now wins, Raila Odinga, either through a Mandela moment of 1 term or 2 term, he'll also be grooming, because that's the behind maneuver and strategy of grooming Senator Kipsile Gideon Moi. So he may tend to ignore the others. So they must also look at their political relevance vis-a-vis their political ego, of saying that probably they want to be in ballot. It's very easy to be in ballot, Mr. Victor. Even yourself, you qualify. I mean, you are above 35, you have all the qualification. But is there something we say in politics, a chance to win, or do you have the mathematical chance? So I think they'll have to put all those things on the table before they make a decision. And on the other hand, remember there is the hand of President Uhuru Kenyatta and Raila Odinga in the name of Kipsile Gideon Moi, or what Senator Cleophas Malala calls the winkling, something that annoyed Gideon Moi and made the abortion of Saturday meeting. So I think they will have to look at those factors before they make a decision.
Okay. Daniel. Let's just read their heads first of all before we get into the, to the nitty-gritties of One Kenya Alliance. What do you think is in the heads of these politicians?
Well, I think we have deliberated on this for some time.
Yes.
And I gave you a pointer long time ago, and I told you that these principles have decided, and I was very specific about the ANC party leader when I was here, and I told you, Victor, watch and see that this guy is going to the ballot. And he has maintained that direction. So here we are talking about One Kenya Alliance as an alliance, but then you're asking about the individual mindset of the principals. Well, the ANC party leader is hellbent that is running to the ballot. And as a leader, as a senior politician, and as a vice president, and as a finance minister, he has the qualifications to go to the ballot. Kalonzo Musyoka, another senior most politician, also been a VP, also been and has supported Raila Odinga's bid twice, and was in the formation and in the scion of ODM before they went ODM and ODM Kenya, and has been deputized, being the VC for Mwai Kibaki by that time. I think deputy president for Mwai Kibaki, and no, VC. Before that, then the Constitution. And we are seeing the man in Wetangula, a man who is a party leader of Ford Kenya, and a man who's seen a revolution within his own party. When you realize that the likes of Wafula Wabunyinyi wanted to take over the party, and Dr. Eseli Simiyu, people were trying to push him out of the party by that time. Then come Gideon Moi, and he said, the prospect of Gideon Moi being a principal in the One Kenya Alliance is to maintain the relevance of his KANU political agenda. And KANU being in survival whims. So I think, and for him, there is another principal by the name Jirongo that I've seen, coming out, being. I don't call him as a principal now. I don't know, because others are saying there are 4, others are saying there are 5. I don't think. But he is there, and he is saying that he's just joined the band just recently. But he's a principal. He's joining as a principal, and he's a friend of the politician. He's asked to be treated as an equal partner in the principles. Of One Kenya Alliance. So when you see the deliberation at Safari Park Hotel, he was given a platform as a principal, Victor. We need to and talking and inviting the rest and giving his deliberation as an equal partner. So when you're looking at this, I am seeing a situation where, and I'm telling you this, that One Kenya Alliance, in public, there is a discussion about them fielding one presidential candidate. But in private, there is a conflict of interest on who is going to be the running mate, who is going to be the flag bearer. So I am holding, when I'm speaking confidently, that the ANC party leader, has stated his position that he is going to be in the ballot. The Honorable Kalonzo Musyoka has called for a National Delegates Congress. On Thursday. On Thursday. And what is the outcome of ANDC? Is to affirm, to cement that you are a party leader and you are going to be the presidential candidate. This is what Gideon Moi as well has called for. KANU has got the NDC. And Wetangula equally has been endorsed by ANDC, not only being the leader of Ford Kenya, but also a presidential candidate. So you see, all these things point towards a direction that there is a point of bargaining. And I told you in this table, Victor, that for them to have a higher political bargaining chip, you cannot have a negotiation with ODM and UDA as per now. Except you must put your house in order. Put your house in order. Move to the ballot. Have a negotiation post poll. That would heighten up your negotiation power. Allow me to take a break, Wakili. Before we come back, we still today we wanted to dissect One Kenya Alliance, what's in their heads, the kind of game plan they are having right now, and what we should expect as an individual, politicians, and as One Kenya Alliance, because we have got Honorable Raila Odinga and Deputy President William Ruto, and now we have got One Kenya Alliance. And by the way, we also have other candidates as well. So let's take a break, and we come back, much more to follow.
The Kenya Medical Training College will hold its 90th graduation ceremony on December 2nd, 2021 at KMTC Graduation Square, Nairobi from 10 a.m. A mandatory graduation fee of 2,500 Kenya shilling is payable on or before 30th November 2021 to National Bank via the details on your screen. Adorning graduation gown will be optional, and graduates wishing to get one can visit KMTC headquarters in Nairobi from 15th to 29th November 2021. Join the event on the KMTC YouTube channel at KMTC Official. Visit www.kmtc.ac.ke for more information on the graduation, training programs, and application procedure. KMTC, training for better health.
Log on to the KBC website at www.kbc.co.ke to get the latest breaking news, entertainment, sports, politics, lifestyle or business trends from Kenya and around the world. Never miss new episodes from your favorite TV shows, reruns and movies. Just stream online or watch live on your YouTube channel at KBC Channel 1 TV shows. For the day's biggest stories, trustworthy news and family entertainment, log on to KBC Channel 1. Watch what you want anytime, anywhere.
Abantu ba Mintombo Yamore.
Your favorite Ekegusi station, Minto FM, is now at your doorstep. Enjoy the hottest Kisi music, informative and entertaining shows, and reliable news only on Minto FM. Tune in to Minto FM on 91.7 FM in Nyamira, Kisii, and its environs.
Minto FM in Nyamira.
Welcome back, and you can reach us on our social media platforms or my individual, that is social media platform at Victor Law, Instagram, Facebook or Twitter. All of them, Victor Law. Let's have a conversation. Okay, so Wakili, before we went on a break, we were trying to understand the heads, what is in the heads of these politicians, and what each and every one of them stand to benefit or lose in any political move they will make. Press play.
I think there are something that my friends or my colleague had outlined as the pre-qualification for this candidate. Yes. What I would call the cosmetics vis-a-vis the real things that normally play in politics, like strategy, numbers and resources in terms of for them either supporting or looking whether they can have one of their own vie. Yeah. Secondly is that Oka, many things are playing into two. One, like he had mentioned, one in public, and secondly in private, what I would call behind plans and maneuver. And what they are doing for now is what the tactics normally used in military, where you give precondition as you advance. Yes. If you follow what is happening in Ethiopia between the Tigray and Prime Minister Abiy, Tigray are making a precondition as they advance in terms of the attack. Yeah. So that's what these people are making. You give precondition either to William Ruto or Raila Odinga, or among your colleagues in Oka. Yeah. Even as you advance in terms of having NDCs confirm you as their presidential candidate. Oka, you can only discuss two people, Musalia Mudavadi and Kalonzo Musyoka. What about the rest? In the interest of time, yes. You would wish to discuss Wetangula in another discussion, probably when you are discussing a gubernatorial candidate.
They're all principles in the formation.
It's true, they are all principles, but remember, in politics, animal farms normally play a very big part. Yes. Not all animals are equal. Remember, you mentioned that Jirongo entered Oka the other time during the Mount Kenya Foundation meeting with Oka. People like Gideon Moi, his strategy is way beyond 2022, probably 2027 and 2032. And he's planning a strategy behind President Uhuru Kenyatta and Raila Odinga. And probably he's grooming in the name of the Mandela movement in Raila Odinga. In when Raila Odinga, it said that Raila Odinga will leave to a younger generation. That younger generation could be Gideon Moi. So Gideon Moi knows where his stakes are.
So right now, what I'm trying to imply is that Gideon Moi might just be placing himself for 2022 or 2037, but not 2022.
Yes, for Gideon Moi, it's clear. For him, it's not up to 2022.
Yes.
I've always mentioned, if you ask President Uhuru Kenyatta, you give him a blank check to write the person he would wish him to succeed. He would mention Senator Gideon Moi, purely because of what the dad did in terms of political grooming. What William Ruto did to President Uhuru Kenyatta was to assist him. The man who made Uhuru Kenyatta who is he today is Daniel Arap Moi, the late president. So he would wish to, but Gideon Moi doesn't have what it takes in terms of getting to power 2022. And that's why probably they want to fix Raila purely because of his age as a one-term president, and then leave to a younger generation, that younger generation being Senator Gideon Moi. So Gideon Moi understands the way he's playing strategy. He's playing the football played by Chelsea, the long ball football. Beyond 2022, but for the like of Akila Wetangula, I think something else will have to be negotiated for her, less of the deputy president or the presidency slot.
All right, Daniel. One thing that we have to appreciate is that the four principals are taking their steps slowly. They don't want to put everything on the table for everyone to see. Of course, that's a political tactic, okay? You don't have to put all your cards on the table. Kuna moja lazima weka hapo chini for your opponent. But then now, there's something we're not understanding. Something done in private, but then in public, they're speaking from the other side of the mouth. Let me ask you this. So what do you really need to understand to make them, for Mwananchi to understand that these four gentlemen are going to give one candidate come 2022? Because if you see Deputy President William Ruto, he's going all out. He's traversing. Like right now, he has got a 5-day tour of the Rift Valley. Honorable Raila Odinga has a very tight schedule. But the four candidates, the four principals, we don't see that aggressive campaign from them as a formation ready to give one candidate.
Well, let me put a caveat that I don't know why you are omitting, say, Jirongo as a principal. You know, because
allow me to bring Honorable Cyrus Jirongo.
I mean, in equal measure. I mean, he's really appealing to be a principal. And by the fact that he's admitted into the academy of Oka, I think we would be fair to him and say that, you know, there's something that he also brings over. That is why he was invited on board. It's also important. Also, like you said, there is a level of aggressive campaign that is going on, especially for the prospective presidential candidate and candidates as well. The Honorable Dr. William Ruto has been very aggressive. I mean, for years, you know, it's been here for years. I mean, he's been on the ground for years, you know, trying to popularize the UDA agenda. The Honorable, the Prime Minister, Raila Odinga, is here to declare his bid. You know, he's just saying that on 9th of December, we are waiting so that declaration would be made as to whether he's supporting one of the Oka principles, or he's also running, because I hear my brother says that, you see, the long ball game that is being played by, you know, Gideon Moi, probably the die would be cast on him or anybody if Raila said, I am not really vying. But of course, we would get tantrums from ODM if that is the case. You really expect that would be a response as to why it's not. But then come to the question that you've asked.
it is also imperative to say that IEBC had given a warning for earlier campaigns. And the aggressive campaigns that we are seeing is not sitting well with IEBC. So all presidential aspirants out there who are already campaigning, you are warned that that can be a case against you by IEBC, because they said that is illegal, and illegal is illegal. So then one of the things that you also realize, Victor, the elections this time, I told you that any presidential candidate is going to win one round of election. I am telling you this for a fact, and I'm repeating it again, that no one will have it one-off. And I saw a statement from William Ruto saying that they would have it one-off. No, it's not possible. Because I'll tell you why it's not possible. You know, all these gravitations that we are having, segmented political parties are going to pull fragmented voting bloc. And that is not possible to attain plus 50% in one round.
That statement by the DP is a word of assurance.
That I say, there is no assurity. There is no assurity by the figures and the statistics that we are seeing. No one has got enough, strongholds and enough political strongholds beyond their traditional ones. I can guarantee you this. And this is why you see Raila Odinga is struggling to maintain Western Bloc and the Coast Bloc. And one of the dailies carried it out yesterday on the areas that there is political eyes on, that no presidential candidate can be assured. But that be it said and done, we are back to Oka.
Okay.
And this is this. I said this before. In 2013, Mudavadi managed to garner over 500,000 votes in 2013 when he was running with UDF, as a party. Until after the elections, he had a post-agreement with the Jubilee Alliance by that time.
Yes.
It was called Jubilee Alliance, not Jubilee Party, in 2013. And they formed a working relationship by that time. In 2017, he was the chief presidential campaign for NASA principle. And the NASA flag bearer, that was Raila Odinga. And by that fact, the Honorable Musalia Mudavadi and his ANC had got a lot of political candidates under his party that fell into the acts of him not being the presidential candidate by the supporter in the chief campaign of NASA.
Okay.
And that was a misfortune for him. And I would advise him not to do that again.
Daniel,
as a presidential candidate, this is my advice, that he move to the ballot as a leader. If this Oka thing is becoming heavy on his shoulders, I think the most important thing is to shelve the Oka, because it's not working in favor for ANC. Second, for Kalonzo Musyoka. Kalonzo has got a very, very strong battle on his backyard.
All the three governors have...
have unanimously supported Azimio La Umoja under the leadership of Raila Odinga, and has assured and saying that when the country and the bell rings, and when they ask in whose hands are you safe, they would confidently point and say we are safe in Raila Odinga's hands.
But he can still argue
not Kalonzo Musyoka's hands.
He can still argue that he is the kingpin of Ukambani region, the eastern.
Kingpinship, I told you, kingpinship lost a meaning when you cannot marshalize a voting bloc and authoritatively decides the direction of your region. That is what is called a kingpin. Okay? And this is being lost in the personality of one of our friends, Kalonzo Musyoka.
Okay.
Now, we hope that NDC that is called would try as so much possible to make sure that Wiper begins a party that is a national outlook.
Okay, let me ask you, Wakili. Daniel has said that
I mean, I haven't talked about Wetangula, I haven't talked about Gideon, I haven't talked about Jirongo.
Exactly.
Because you asked me to talk about these principles.
You'll talk about that one. But let me ask you this, Wakili. Daniel has said that no particular candidate will get 50+1 first round, according to him. But when you look at Joe Biden and Kamala Harris during their campaigns, it was a shocker. Nobody saw that coming, the choice of a deputy president. So let me now twist the whole narrative and say that either 50+1 can be achieved by the choice of a running mate. Can that be possible?
I mean, the choice of a running mate purely will be for him or her to bring the numbers. So it will be very important. And remember, the two leading candidates, as I mentioned earlier, are looking in the mountain where probably they can have their running mate. And you remember Mother Karua mentioned the other day that running mate position is not a position you vie for. You just swim in the air waiting for someone to have mercy on you and pick you as his or her own running mate. Secondly, in a country where rigging is very prevalent as an winning strategy,
an allegation,
you can't really say that we will not be able to reach 50+1. Remember, there is one of a senior politician who worked with the Kibakian probably, and is also in the leadership of Hulu government, who mentioned that whenever someone is credible and electable, it's easy to tilt. So we can't really, not unless they are very high strategy in terms of making sure that this election is pushed to a runoff. But if the strategy will not be there to push this election into a runoff, this election will be or be won. Even if it gets to 51+1, they will push until it gets there.
Okay.
That is very interesting. I mean, it's very interesting. Yeah. But here is the thing, because I was proceeding, and then I would make my own, interpretations about that. That was, I was saying that ANDC, that Honorable Kalonzo Musyoka has called upon, one of the important agenda of ANDC is always to affirm the party position, is always to install the party leadership, and is always also to make a declaration that the party leader is headed towards the ballot. All the ANDC. I mean, unless otherwise, right now, you wouldn't call an ANDC to say that we are supporting another person. That would be very ridiculous.
No, it has to be a party affair.
It has to be really a party affair.
Yeah.
That is why even Wetangula himself, his ANDC decided to say that he's going to be in the ballot as a presidential candidate. It would be mad to say that, he would support somebody at this hour. So then the persona also, KANU itself, I mean, KANU wouldn't, let me be fair to KANU. There's been a lot of rebranding of that party. There's been a lot of, installation of youth leadership in the party, and that I give to them.
Brand activation.
Yeah, and that activation has been very critical, and KANU is having a lot of followership as we speak. But I think, like Wakili has said, the game plan might not be for 2022. Yeah. The game plan might be post-2022. And they are doing it so well because that then, they're organizing and reorganizing and shaping their alliances and appealing to prospective winning candidates. Man, we can't talk about, Wetangula, we can't talk about, Jirongo. They remain as party leaders. But let me say something that is so, still amorphous, Victor. The reason as to why the country was taken towards a repeat presidential election in 2017, it's simply because somebody might have interfered with the servers.
It was about the process.
Might have interfered with the process.
Yeah.
As we speak, one of the difficult elections to rig is the Kenyan election, because of the issues that I'm going to qualify my statement. The elections laws and the IBC Act has made it difficult to rig elections moving forward, because all presidential elections and presidential results will be announced at the constituency tallying center. And I'm telling you this, that IBC and that Bomas will only be confirming through, I don't know which Form 34A or Form 34B, that which they will confirm with what has been confirmed from the 290 constituencies.
Wakil, right?
You understand?
Yeah.
Confirm that.
Yeah.
290 constituencies. So if you want to rig an election, remember how would you want to rig it? At 290. It means you will have to rig elections at the polling station, you will have to rig election at the polling stream, and at the polling stream, if you want to rig it, you will still call people who have been voting to come back and vote again. And remember,
that's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work. Each and every polling stream has got a maximum of 700 voters. You can't vote past that. So if I hear somebody saying that you will rig in favor of another candidate, it's ridiculous. If that was true, then Kiambaa and Juja would be something else.
Absolutely.
So I am asking all presidential candidates that are here that go to the constituencies, including Oka that we are discussing today.
Yes.
That it is impossible for you to be appealing by waiting to be endorsed. You have to go to rallies and convince Kenyans that you can be safe pair of hands that a country can trust to vote you unanimously.
Okay. So, they've had meetings with President Kenyatta before, all of them, including Honorable Raila Odinga. But then, since then, we've never seen them having that ground activation, aggressive campaigns. Only Raila Odinga is out there having on the ground activation, pushing the Azimio la Umoja campaign slogan and everything. The campaign, basically that. So could this be a ploy, a tactic that each and every person was given and they agree that this is how it's going to be?
I think there is no ploy in politics. You must work hard and be consistent, visible and very focused. You remember in one of the interview, William Ruto saying that the reason why they lost very gravely with President Uhuru Kenyatta in the 2002, the late President Daniel Moi had told them to wait. He'll tell them when to start campaigning. And I think Ruto learned from that mistake, and that way probably he started early and he has been very consistent. If you check in one of the days, he did, in October, he did 135 rallies in 30 days. That's almost 3.5 rallies per day. So he did pushing things. For Oka, they had a rally on Saturday in Nakuru that aborted because of their disagreement. So even in terms of the hard work, in terms of the focus, in terms of the consistent, you have just mentioned William Ruto will be doing 5 days in Rift Valley. That will total to almost 10 to 9 rallies. He was in Molanga yesterday, barely 4 or 6 days he was in Molanga. Raila Odinga, you remember Raila Odinga jetting from Dubai and he was in Nyandarua. Are you seeing the same hard work and focus, even in the individual of the NASA principal? The only thing they are saying is that they are trying to create a third force. Can you create a third force even without...
How is that possible? That's the question, because they... my understanding their kind of campaign is quite lukewarm.
You see, in politics, I'll tell you, Victor, in politics is not like prayers that you can pray in silence or you can pray in private. In politics, you must be visible. You must do a political rally, one after the other, either in creating perception or doing branding and marketing. For them, you really ask them, when do they do it? It's true, they will be number 3, but it will not be that third force. For that force, you must be very closely close to the second force and the first force.
So what if we get, what if Honorable Deputy President gets 50+1 first round, or Raila Odinga gets 50+1 first round, and we are done with the elections? What will the fate of all these candidates?
I think for Oka, that will be their political oblivion. I think for Deputy President, he'll be focused in terms of grooming a younger politician that he can tell things, a politician who can be very loyal to him. So even for Oka principal, they must look at this generation change. If their generation will be eliminated from politics by William Ruto, who is a younger generation, that will be the end of them and their relevance. They will not be able to raise their hand even in 2027. If Raila wins, probably Raila can have some mercy on them, being a traditional ally to them. But remember, Raila now will be having new allies in the name of the Mount Kenya and probably in the name of grooming Senator Gideon Moi. So they will be out of the box. So I think when now the rubber will come to meet the road, they'll have to make very good decision that will keep them way beyond fast forward 2022.
Okay.
Well, I'm getting interested to listen to Okili.
Yes,
because
as you answer that, allow me to also ask you this question. Then why are they taking their sweet time to mention or to name their preferred candidate? Because they keep on postponing. After every 1 week, we are going to have a meeting next week, next month, and it keeps on going on and on and on and on and on. As you answer that.
Well, listen, the prospect again of having one round win for elections, and we are not going to, you can't argue with facts and figures, Victor. It's quite difficult to argue when
statistics shows otherwise. And there is just a reason as to why I said that the presidential candidates and winning will be won at the constituency level. And I'm telling you this, that look and mark what I'm saying today, that whoever will marshal a number of members of parliament, many members of parliament will have to be endorsed and will have a win as the president of this republic.
Yeah.
We are not talking about what happened in 2007. We are talking about the constitution that we are having as a country right now. Whoever will manage, because you hear one time somebody said about the tyranny of numbers. Somebody said about the supremacy of the parliament. And give it to the DP, give it to Raila Odinga, that they are doing better in terms of convincing, going back and talking to Mwananchi and trying to have an alliance that can have maximum number of members of parliament. Just like I've told you, that these presidential elections will be announced at the constituency tallying center.
Yeah.
If you cannot find your facts right there, forget about deep state, forget about being supported by who and who. Get it right at the 290.
Okay.
And here comes the OCA principles, the dear loved OCA principles again. You cannot have always to schedule a meeting so that meeting is meant to schedule for another meeting. It can't. You must go down, and this is why I have advised the party leader of ANC.
Yes.
Please get out of this. OCA is becoming a burden for you. This is why I've told Kalonzo Musyoka and all other principals. If having an alliances is becoming a problem for your own presidential bid, get out of the alliance. Go talk to Kenyan. Convince the Kenyans as an individual prospective candidates. But do you understand where the lukewarm is coming? And I want to tell you this.
Yes.
And Wakili also talked about it. The upper hand of the say, the succession politics that we are having. And it's not a bad thing. President Uhuru Kenyatta must make sure that the country is given to somebody who can, lead the country in the safe pair of hands. And I keep on saying this. And to him, he's interested as the father figure of a nation to hand over the country to someone who can manage the country. And he's been very categorical on how you want the country to run post him. So
we can assume that the OCA principle are alive to this
for
fact.
him, I think for him, everybody is appealing towards the support of anybody. And I tell you this, Victor, anyone, even if you were the presidential candidate, you'd want to talk to the incumbent. You'd want his blessings. You'd want his advice. Any presidential candidate would want. It's quite difficult to ignore.
Yeah.
Because I've heard one of especially the leader of UDA saying that for him, maybe he's not interested in the endorsement of the president.
All right.
But here it is. The headache is the running mate, as my friend has talked about. And this is why, for all the presidential candidates, no one would claim that if you want to get a presidential candidate, get him from Central. No, who tells you by settling for a running mate in Central would give you the majority so that you go one time? Who tells you that sitting in Western Kenya and in Coast would give you a candidate that will marshalize the numbers enough to give you one round of win? So this is the headache that they have.
My question still remains, then why are they taking the sweet time to mention or to present for Kenyans one candidate as an alliance? You will say that, campaign period is not yet, started by IEBC according to the rules and regulations. But perhaps there is no clear pointer on who is going to be the flag bearer of One Kenya Alliance. Wakili?
I think, as I mentioned, I think there is a lot of debate, either in public, and I normally say that whatever is normally brought in public by politicians, that for perception, that's what I would call a perception value, and what you want the public to believe.
Yeah.
But there's what we call private behind maneuvers and plan. And I think that's what we normally call there's more than meat there. A lot is happening. And remember, even the inner cohort of Musalia Mudavadi, majority of them are pushing Musalia Mudavadi, looking at their own personal interest.
Yeah.
If you are vying for a certain seat, let's mention like Malala, he wants to vie for a gubernatorial seat in Kakamega. He would wish to, as he campaigned for his own seat, Mudavadi is also there campaigning for a presidential seat. So there are these junior inner cohort politicians who are really pushing these senior politicians who vie for various political, these big seats, looking at their interests. That's why I mentioned earlier, it's good for these politicians, the principals for OCA, to evaluate themselves and take a different dimension in terms of the relevance, in terms of the political survival. And from there, I think they will be able to make decisions. Besides that, I mentioned that there is also the hand of President Uhuru Kenyatta and Raila Odinga in OCA in the name of Gideon Moi. And whether the tactic will work, even the delay could be also be auctioned happening from that angle. So that probably that's where they are taking their sweet time, so that they can also be sealed or be pushed to see whether they can support Mheshimiwa Raila Odinga.
Okay, so Daniel, the question again, why is it that, okay, let me put it this way. All the 4 principals, do they have a national appeal?
Yeah, of course, they do. I mean, like I've told you, that beginning with Kalonzo has been in government, he's served, and you know, he can appeal and reach to every corner of this country. His party, I don't know much about his party, but I think the composition also of Wiper has been more of a national party. Yeah. And we can presume that that fact gives them a national outlook. I don't know whether you mean a national outlook or you mean a national appeal, but either way, I am presuming that the principles, except for Moses Wetangula and Cyrus Jirongo, the rest, Gideon Moi has got a national, you know, appeal and a national outlook in himself, being the leader of a party that governs for, you know, for decades in this country. That we may say, by that virtue, the party that he leads, and his personality's appeal, probably as much as he's being the senator of Baringo, but I think also by the fact that he's a leader of a national party, that, you know, give him the prospects of striking, you know, a national semblance. And of course, we cannot underestimate Musalia Mudavadi. But let me say that the context right now, as you say, requires that they do much more beyond their strongholds. And probably I think that is what you cleverly alluded to by your question. That is it possible that these people can appeal to people who are beyond, you know, their areas that they're coming from. Like the party leader, UDA, and like ODM, is Honorable Musalia Mudavadi. Of course, I would say that he has made efforts to go to other parts of this country, and before there's the puncture on his, you know, on his bid and the slowdown. I mean, last time, the time we were here, sometimes we were analyzing his tour in Central. Okay. We were analyzing his tour in different parts of the country. I haven't seen that in Kalonzo. I haven't seen that in Wetangula. And
that is why I'm asking, do they have a national appeal?
But if we wouldn't, you know, have a blanket condemnation for the principles, I would want us also, when we come next time, with your permission, to begin to analyze who then, because it's also important for us in this platform that they listen to us also as advisors and political commentators, that we also advise them that individually you might not be, you know, being in OCA might be a burden to you, but going outside as an individual might add some value on you. And it's important for you as a prospective candidate to do one or two things. And I think this is why we are serving here.
That's exactly what Honorable Raila Odinga did. When he saw that it was not working, he walked out of NASA. When NASA was, you know, calmed down, tumbling, he said it's over, and is now charting his way as an ODM candidate, not in any alliance.
And that's why I say briefly, and we alluded to that, you know, also what really brought down to this all question, because it was going well. But the fall of BBI also had got some, you know, punch on this process. Like I told you, that the existence of Building Bridges initiative opened more spaces for dialogue and accommodation.
Yes.
Opened more spaces where all political party leaders and principals would have been accommodated into that vehicle. But you realize that by the faultness and by the judicial landmines, and that is why we had BBI still being discussed, and I think it's not possible to have it probably, it really made the succession politics difficult.
All right. Let me ask you this, Wakili. Now, we have got One Kenya Alliance, so to speak, they are going to go to the wire come next year. But then, should Raila Odinga or Deputy President William Ruto fail to get 50+1 as required by law, will they be able to push either of the candidates to get that mark?
I think it's depend with the number that they'll have marshaled by then, and I'll give you a case scenario with Liberia. You remember the player George Weah won the first round, but he wasn't able to get 50+1. He got 28. Then his closest competitor got 18. In the repeat, the other candidates, the 20 of them, were supported the second, who won by 58, and that's how George Weah lost. So it depends with how many votes they'll have be able to have marshaled by then, and it also depends on who they'll continue. Remember, the strategy or the winning strategy for Alanov is normally the simple majority.
Yes.
So if you get 1 million vis-a-vis someone who will get 900,000, will be pronounced or declared to have won. So it will depend with how many votes they will have gotten by then, and it also depends on who they'll draw their weight behind.
So it means that all of them are going, at some point, all of them are going to run as an individual. Daniel, is that what you're trying to
foresee that coming?
Is that what we're trying to foresee? So that Kalonzo has a vote behind him, same as all the four principals, all the five, so to speak, as you put it, all of them will have numbers behind them, so that whoever will not be able to get 50+1, but nearer to that mark, will be supported by all the candidates.
I foresee that coming, and I think Wakili has confirmed that in a runoff you just need a simple majority, right?
Yes.
And I'm going to tell you that simple majority becomes a point of conversing, becomes a point of communication and having a deal. And also, I like the fact that my colleague has also said that in this delay and in this horse trading and discussion, there are hands that probably we are speculating that other people are also trying to delay the process as they try to see how things are turning out and how political directions is taking place. Why I think I foresee a situation, and it's already started, and it's in public domain, that there was a problem in agreement in the Nakuru rally this weekend, and also confirmed that always in public there have been a point as to who is the senior, what is the criteria of deciding whoever will be the flag bearer of OCA. That has been a discussion for a long time. What is the measurement? Do we measure it in terms of seniority? Do you measure it in terms of having your voting block intact? Do you measure it in terms of the numbers that you have? It has been like, when these principles are in this discussion, the point of contention has been, how do we settle? What is the formula of settling on the flag bearer
of One Kenya Alliance?
And I think that has been the discussion that still drags them as to who do we want to settle for as a candidate. But again, since it is not settled and time is running out to declare, and also, like I told you, there had been a meeting to discuss this, and the head of state has asked them severally in a discussion in confidence to try to settle and support one person, and they've refuted that. But also, as they retreat back to their cocoons, have failed also to produce their prospective candidates. Then it all shows that these principles are going to run it alone. In their own, in their own spaces, in their own, so that they would prove with what they will have and they will get who might be the senior most, because it has failed for them to agree on, on the prospective presidential candidate who will carry the flag for
there are some allegations that some of the politicians are meeting some of the principals. Actually, one of the principals has been in talks with Deputy President William Ruto. What are we likely to see at the end of the day?
I think it's whatever. I think it's what we said there before in terms of the option they have. One option we said they can decide to learn as a team. Second, they can decide to support one of the two leading candidates. Third, they can decide to hunt separately. So I think option 2 has been explored, and I think there are a lot of their allies, either of Musalia Mudavadi or Kalonzo Musyoka, are also pushing for their principal to support one of these leading candidates, and it will also be very advantageous either to the person they will support and even against the person that they will not support. If Kalonzo Musyoka decides to support William Ruto, of course you'll bring some vote, but the bad net effect to Mheshimiwa Raila Odinga is that Raila Odinga will lose in what he had in 2017, 44%. So a chunk of percentage will be lost and vote, and he will really have to work hard either through the three governors who are now very prominent in his campaign, and you see they are the one who had planned for Azimio la Umoja. So I think that's what happened. That's what we are saying. There are a lot of private talks behind the plan and maneuver going on in terms of either them vying separately or support, and more so supporting one of these big leading candidates.
Okay, as we come to a close, your final remarks, because now we have to close this by asking you this question, Daniel. One, we have got Honorable Raila Odinga and Deputy President William Ruto. If either of them were to pick a candidate from Oka, starting with you, who that person be?
For a running mate?
Yes,
or
for a running mate from Oka, starting with the Deputy President and going to Honorable Raila Odinga. As we come to a close.
Well, in order of experience, in order of seniority, in order of national appeal, the ones you're talking about, I see the Honorable Musalia Mudavadi as a front runner in Oka, and as one who either of the political presidential candidates would want to ask on board to come over to be a running mate. And this is why I'll say so. The one, his demeanor in terms of political accommodation, his agenda for the country has been appealing, and he's been very as an individual walking, and this is why I say it's not because of anything, but I have seen him already taking a front runner in terms of even going in his own to different areas of this country. That means that the little that he has got, the much that he's got, he's able to add into the basket of whoever will invite him on board. Okay. On a second, as we were concluding, I am still asking the Oka principals to be wary about the delay. And this is my passionate appeal, that the delay is counterproductive. It is important to settle for a flag bearer. It's important to go outside there and aggressively campaign. Do not forget that also Nixon Kokubo has decided to run again as a presidential candidate. Everybody is now coming as a presidential candidate. So it's important to consider that. Okay. Wakili?
Purely on
20 seconds, please.
Purely on account of numbers, I think Kalonzo Musyoka's number are very solid. The biggest challenge with the Musalia Mudavadi numbers is that even his own backyard, the Luhya, there are normally a lot of division. If you look at the 5 principles of Oka, already three of them are from one community. So purely on account of numbers, I would give Kalonzo Musyoka to deputize either William Ruto or Raila Odinga.
Absolutely. Okay, that brings us to a close of this discussion. Thank you so much, gentlemen. We have just run out of time. We've been speaking to Wakili and, of course, Daniel Orogo here, who've been always gracious to grace our show every time we call on them. Today, we were just trying to dissect One Kenya Alliance and understand what's in the head of these politicians and what you should understand about each and every one of them ahead of 2022 presidential election. We are taking a break, but when we come back, there is something in studio that, okay, stick around. You don't have to go anywhere because there's something special here today. Ata mi siendi, by the way. We are taking a break, we'll be right back.
The Kenya Medical Training College will hold its 90th graduation ceremony on December 2nd, 2021. A mandatory graduation fee of 2,500 Kenya shilling is payable on or before 30th November 2021 to National Bank via the details on your screen. KMTC, training for better health.
How can she be pregnant? I won't allow it. I won't.
Just calm down. He said, if anybody wants to hurt you or hurt our baby, I will not let them off. Not even the Empress.
Yesian is definitely testing the waters. I bet he has other plans.
You've been spoiled. How dare you talk back when I'm lecturing you?
Babe, ni nani?
Uninvited guest, baby.
Huwezi kukuhakikishia kuumia au kutoumia. Umuhimu atakuwa hai.
I am a professional businessman. Na kufahamu tena vizuri sana.
I want to talk to him now. Hana!
Hana? Haya Hana nini unaye? Mimi pia sina.
Somebody's gonna get in line.
Stay with me, baby. If the world was ending, you'd come over, right? You'd come over and you'd stay the night. Can't sweet. Everybody wanna feel like it. Long time on a DJ in a dance. A long time on a chant in a dance. So we think stay, so we think stay down. So we think stay, so we think stay down. So the thing set, so the thing set. I saw the thing set.
Them a chat up them out, we not fear them. Bang, boom, bang, boom, bang, boom, bang, fear them.
How can she be pregnant? I won't allow it. I won't.
Just calm down. He said, if anybody wants to hurt you or hurt our baby, I will not let them off. Not even the Empress.
Yesian is definitely testing the waters. I bet he has other plans.
You've been spoiled. How dare you talk back when I'm lecturing you?
are back. Thank you for staying with us this far. In case you are just joining us, karibu tena sana. We are glad that you continue to be with us here on Good Morning Kenya. And from that political note, manze, mimi nakwambia siasa inakuanga vita ingine mbaya. But all is well. They say a day in politics is full of ups and downs, lefts and right, dodge sahani. But it's all in a day of politics. So right now, we want to have a brief, beautiful moment. We just pat ourselves on the back, and this is all in line with the day that was being celebrated yesterday. And I'm going to be roping in my colleagues in this particular session, Stephanie and Victor. Kaini standby nakuja kwenyu in just a bit. Yesterday was World Television Day. And for most people, whenever we talk about TVs, it's very close to the heart. And I mean TV, the actual tool, the structure, the flat screen, and yelikwanga na rear side. I know you all remember that. That red Great Wall, the red Great Wall. Red Great Wall TV. Before it came the colored version, we had the black and white version. And you know, growing up, at least Gen Z hamtawaijua some of these things. But the baby bloomers, the millennials, at least for most of us, we have seen the different variations of the actual structure, how they have been over the years. But looking at this particular day in itself is a day that was, you know, instituted and brought into celebration in 1996 by the United Nations just to really paint a picture on the significance that this tool has, and not particularly just the tool, the structure, but the philosophy behind it. Because going back to the 1930s, TVs were actually used as a source of unity, and this is in India. You know, when it was just freshly introduced in India, people would come together just to marvel at this thing, and the United Nations actually used it to speak messages of peace, unity, you know, common good among the people. That is one of the points in history that TV has actually been given that credit when it comes to bringing people together, and especially in India. But that said, I want to rope in my colleagues, and we also have a gentleman with us in studio. He is Francis, who is the policy manager at Oxygen. Good morning, Francis.
Good morning.
Thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you for having me.
All right, now before we even rope in my colleagues, let me just tell us a bit about your organization, you know, being the policy manager at Oxygen, before we get to the juicy part, the TV part, the eating part in a bit.
Yeah, my name is Francis Mwanyango. I'm from Oxygen Marketing, and today we are here on behalf of Safaricom, to commemorate World TV Day, which was held yesterday. But decided to come and share today. Yeah.
Now let me just get to that nostalgic part, you know, just growing back. What TV did it have the hype that, you know, I personally know it had in my life? Looking back at your younger days, TV you guys, did you used to hold it in such glory? I mean, what was it like for you?
Yeah, I remember the Great Wall, black and white.
Yeah.
Coming back from school to watch KBC cartoon. That Vitimbi was a big deal. Like, it was so fun.
Yes.
The idea of coming back to school, finishing your homework so that you may watch something before going to sleep.
Cartoon ya saa 10. Mimi nakumbuka hiyo. We used to run from school, get home, fanya homework, kunywa chai ya saa 10, then watch cartoon. And I want to bring in my colleagues also at this particular point. Let me start with Stephanie. Okay, my director says ningoje kwanza yao inakuja kiboko yao iko jikoni. But coming back to you, Francis, you know, this is a day that, you know, as part of the media fraternity, TV is one of the main tools that we use to communicate. And as, you know, being the policy manager at Oxygen, what was the reasoning behind, you know, deciding to come and also just pat our back as KBC? By the way, we have a very beautiful cake here that you'll be seeing in a bit. But what was the reasoning behind coming to KBC?
Basically, it's just to thank KBC for the job they're doing as part of the media, in terms of informing the people on what is happening, in terms of educating the people, So that's basically the entire idea behind World TV Day, and KBC is doing a wonderful job, and so just to be here with you guys to share the cheer.
Good stuff. Yes, KBC, we're doing a good job. When we say Kenya is watching, we quite literally mean Kenya is watching, because we're all about coverage. Tumetamba kila mahali. Sisi ndio OG. You know, just the other day I was having a conversation with someone and they said, nilikuwa nimeenda ushago, manzi tulikuwa tumelipia decoder, so ilikuwa imekatwa, and the only station we could watch was KBC. Hata mukienda wapi mugashoka. And you know, we are the OG and in line with World Television Day. And looking at just actually the theme for this year, it's quite long. Let me just pull it out for you. There is always a theme every year when it comes to celebrating this day on the 21st of November of each year. Let me get the theme for you. It just goes to show you, when you talk about TV as a tool that moves the masses, what we actually mean. And looking at the theme of this year was increasing impact television has on decision making by bringing world attention to conflicts and threats to spread peace and security, and its potential role when it comes to sharpening the focus on major issues, including economical and social issues. And looking at that last bit, economical issues, we all know what the pandemic has done to the entire world. Businesses have literally ground to a halt. Some have had to close down as a whole because of the consequences of COVID-19. So looking at how TV can be used to be a tool that will drive us as a country to rebuild our economy, address social issues. Just the other day, and for the greater part of last year, we have been talking about gender-based violence, social issues revolving around that, domestic violence, and TV has been a tool that has been used by most people to communicate some of these issues. And you know, even just looking at stats, it says that, you know, TV is the largest source of video consumption across the world. It is the largest source of video consumption. So let me just bring in my colleagues. We have Victor and Stephanie on the other side of studio. And I want to start with you, Stephanie. You know, you're the kabibi in the crew right now, but director ameniambia ningoje kidogo nianze na Victor. Director uko na kabaya. Ni sawa. Stephanie, nederoka, I am coming. But Vic, you know, just talking about TVs, did you guys used to have this hype around TVs when you were growing up?
Actually, you talked of the Great Wall television.
Mm-hmm.
We had it. And
Ile red.
And it had like how many buttons? One was to start the channel, another was for contrast.
Victor, angoa.
There was this television we had, the Great Wall, the red one, and then it had a hump. Okay, walikuwa sema ilikuwa na nini hapo nyuma. So it had how many buttons? One was for the contrast, one was to turn it on and off button, and then one was to tune the channel. But one funny thing is, Jen, the only channel that people used to watch was KBC. The only channel that was there back then was KBC. And you see, way back then, we used to watch KBC. Now, we are working at KBC.
Man. Can you imagine?
Who would have thought about that?
From the UK.
And yes, and you remember how it started at a particular time of the day, national anthem, then the channel would go off. We have the color bars, yes, and then we like have a complete blackout for a whole day, and then midnight, and then we have a program lineup like that. We'd have, you know, the legends, for example, the late Buddy, you know, he used to sit here on this particular set way back then. TV was a powerful tool. And KBC is Baba na Mama, as they call it out there.
The OG.
The OG. People watch television, and as we mark the World Television Day, most people can still go back and remember the cartoons way back in the days, you know. The olden days, the Tintin, you know, No One But You, talk of The Bold and the Beautiful, that ran over thousands of episodes.
Rex.
It was only here, Rex, you know, and all that. I mean, who can never talk about television? Stephanie.
Ebu Stephanie.
Yeah.
Unakumbuka any
Sikumbuki, to be honest. I just remember having a TV niko na hub hapo nyuma. That's the much I can.
Did you have a flat screen ama TV ilikuanga na bodonk?
Yenye ilikuwa na hapo nyuma. Yo.
You met that one? Hey.
You woke up to flat screen era.
No, I got that TV, but sina memory yangu iko a bit blurry.
It doesn't go way past that.
Yeah, it doesn't go past that.
Okay, yeah.
I just remember coming from home and Akimilia cartoon, and after I had a lineup, after the cartoons, I was watching this Filipino, this Filipino
soap operas.
Yeah. After that, I do my homework, and then at around, is it 8, was it 8 p.m.? No, 8 p.m., yes.
After news.
Yeah, when we had the other soap operas, the telenovelas, and we were watching Chini ya Maji kwa sababu mzazi kuona una watch na hujamaliza homework pale, and you had to watch because that was the discussion when you got back to school the next morning. So it was those are some of the memories I have back in the days about TV. And KBC was the in thing, was the main thing. You can't mention, you can't celebrate TV without mentioning KBC.
Oh yes,
you cannot. My director is actually saying that they are at least blessed are those that had TVs when they were growing up. Yeah. But looking at the village setup, kuna kwanga na kambi. Mali watu wanagather ku-watch. And remember we used to even watch movies for 5 bob or 10 bob.
2 shillings.
Yeah, there was like a cinema that was put up where you would go and watch movies.
There was one called JR. We would go there. Mapema, get a front seat and pay 2 shillings. 2 shillings, you watch one movie, go home. One movie, Kisha, you get out.
Francis, did you used to do that? Go to those movie areas. Mnalipa 5 bob or 2 bob or 10 bob.
For a movie.
Wow.
Yeah, and then they used to.
You didn't go through that?
Yeah, the DV tapes, those good tapes, you remember?
Yeah.
And hey man, we've come a long
Memories are made of this.
Memories are made of this. And one particular soap opera that I remember, ilikuwa na kina Ina, ilikuwa inaitwaje? The Promise.
That's The Promise, yes.
The Promise, that used to air here. And I don't know, it was Angelo's stepmother or his birth mother. I did not like that woman because she was so mean to Ina. And of course, KBC is always remembered for the bold and the beautiful. Yeah. Remember back in the day, ikifika saya the bold, tunaambia tunde tukalale. Lakini sisi ni nani? Chini ya mlango. Chini ya mlango. Just to get a glimpse and watch TV.
Ama you have to, you listen in kama uoni visuals.
You just paint your own mental image.
you know when you talk about this is a throwback Monday, talk about television. And I will ask our guests there, what the television industry, the whole industry, the kind of role that television has played. Of course, as on this end, as journalists, we know the importance of this medium of communication. But when you look at it from the corporate side, why corporate world still depend on television so much to push their products, it's all about television, all right? That one again, maybe Jen will ask, the guest will answer later on. But then, one of the things that I still remember, television used to use battery. Hakukuwa na stima.
Okay.
Zile battery kubwa kubwa.
Tunabeba battery kwa wheelbarrow. Tunapeleka Ragama. Those who are in Ugis, you know where Ragama is. Tunapeleka battery asubuhi. It was 30 shillings to charge a full battery, full charge, and you take like around 3, 4, 5 hours. And we would sit there, wait for that battery to charge, go back with it home.
Na ukifika home, aerial.
Yes.
Na tingisha aerial. Malita shikia.
Mabati, hapo.
Kuna hiyo area huko juu na kuna the antenna. You remember the antenna?
Hapo. And then you go with those knobs, tap.
Na ikikataa kufanya unaipiga bare.
Football made in Germany. Those people remember football made in Germany.
And of course, over the years,
it's a whole new experience.
It's a whole new experience, and especially for Gen Z, they now get to experience these modern forms of TV.
Exactly.
TV konde hivi.
Sita hatukuwa tunaenda church. Mother anasema endo uoge uende church. Tunasema mother, we are going to watch someone kwa teli. Inaanza saa 3. Wilfred Lai is going to go live.
You can't miss.
Yes, on Sato. Pastor Wilfred Lai.
It was a beautiful. So we can all see that TV has had such an impact, you know, on us growing up, and you know, as a main source of communication across the country. TV and radio both go hand in hand, but today is all about celebrating the TV, both the tool and the philosophy behind it when it comes to a medium of communication. And in line with that, Francis and his team, and of course courtesy of Safaricom as well as their representation here, they have brought us a cake. I love cake.
Cake day.
I looked at that cake. It looked
Mimi napenda keki.
Tantalizing.
Tantalizing. Delicious. Our directors at the gallery, tafadhali, do your jobs.
And you know the thing about cake, whenever anyone sees cake, cake is just meant to be a symbol of celebration. Hakuna mahali utaenda ukose keki. Whatever party, as long as you're celebrating something, ka hakuna keki, it is never complete.
Exactly,
It is never complete. And this is the cake that we have here. I don't know if you can be able to get a glimpse at it. Nikiangusha tutaikula tu venye iko. But the top, I don't know if you can be able to see that. Acha tuone kama itasumiwa in. Please don't slide. No, slide nitakushikilia na mikono zangu. There we go. You see that old TV set right there?
What a beautiful.
And that TV is in black and white, right?
This is a version of the Great Wall.
Wow.
A version of the Great Wall TV right there.
Wow.
There we go. All right.
Jen, which flavor is that?
Tutajua tukidive ndani. Hata mimi sijui.
Dive into it.
But I can tell you it smells good. It does smell really beautiful, and this is just to even celebrate ourselves as journalists. Tunawekangwa kwa TV kila siku. We don't take it for granted. We appreciate you for always tuning in and being part of Good Morning Kenya from 6:30 a.m. mpaka 10 asubuhi. We do not take that for granted. All right. So, Mr. Director, sijui kama Victor na Stephanie mutakata keki virtually huko? Mutaikula virtually. I shall represent y'all. Okay, nitawambia venye naonja. You know the way at weddings kuna konga na auntie wa keki. Hii keki iko hapa. Imepanda, iko na layers 3. Kuna Mount Kenya, Mount Kilimanjaro na Mount Elgon. Hiyo ya kwanza iko na githeri. Ya pili ikaekwa ka jahe. Na hii nyingine iko na kamande. Nitaonja sasa niwaambie venye inaonja. But that said, we just want to cut this cake, all right? Tuko na kisu ya TV. Ini kisu ya TV. Sitaki kukata kaka TV kako hapa, so tutakata hapa hivi katikati. There we go. Na wenye munakatanga keki bila adabu, OCD demands that you cut the cake, give it the grace and respect that it deserves, okay? So let us cut some pieces right here. Proportional to each other. Ndio hiyo. All right? I came prepared. Hapa tuko na kahuma. Kanaanguka chini. Ooh, this looks like a chalk chip banana vanilla cake.
That's a lot. Must be nice.
Kama nimewadanganya musitense, ni keki tu bado. Okay, let me put a few slices here. Oh, sikuwa nimekata hapa. Ndio hiyo. There we go. Yeah, this has chalk chips. It reminds me of banana bread. Tulikuwa tunakula hiyo tukiwa campus. Banana bread and chalk chips. I do see the chalk chips and the banana bread bit of it. But nitaenda kuoja. Ni wapi na ojaji. All right. There we go. Ni tamu. All right. And we'll also want to bless our guest, you know, ametuletea keki ndio, but we also want him to have a bit of what they have been able to bless us as a corporation with. Tukiumwa na tumbo tunaumwa sisi wote. There we go.
Thank you.
Uonje pia wewe utuambie inaonja aje. Iko? Good stuff. All right. So that is that. Of course, we're going to share this with the entire crew that is here. We want to wish you once again a happy belated World TV Day. Continue celebrating the TV, the tool, and also the philosophy that it carries and, cuts through time with. On behalf of the crew, I am Jane Wamboy. Be sure to join us again tomorrow morning. But for now, bye-bye. Enjoy the rest of your viewing.
Uninvited guest, baby. Huwezi kukuhakikishia kuumia au kutoumia. Umuhimu atakuwa hai.
I am a professional businessman. Na kufahamu tena vizuri sana.
I want to talk to him now.
Hana! Hana? Hai Hana nini unaye? Mimi pia sina.
Somebody's gonna get in line.
Stay with me, baby. If the world was ending, you'd come over, right? You'd come over and you'd stay the night. Can't sweet. Everybody wanna feel like it. Long time on a DJ in a dance. A long time on a chant in a dance. So we think stay, so we think stay down. So we think stay, so we think stay down. So the thing set, so the thing set. So the thing set.
Chat up them out, we not fear them. Bang, boom, bang, boom, bang, boom, bang.
The Amazons did not want me to find you here gambling. I'm telling you, you're not going anywhere. You are staying.
Vicente lost the ranch because of Madame Bernarda.
Prosecution accepts the evidence and requests that an arrest warrant be issued against Mr. Julio Flores, who is now the main suspect for the fraud committed against Mr. Victoriano Santos.
Where did she go?
I don't know. We've been looking for her. Where do you think you're going with her?
I'm not going to tell you.
You'll never break us apart.
How can she be pregnant? I won't allow it. I won't.
Just calm down, he said. If anybody wants to hurt you or hurt our baby, I will not let them off. Not even the Empress.
Yesian is definitely testing the waters. I bet he has other plans.
You've been spoiled. How dare you talk back when I'm lecturing you?
那一人那一面，也不愿你我错过的流年。
Hii ni mitikasi leo, makala kutoka BBC yaliyomo. Wizara ya fedha nchini Djibouti yaonya kuwa vita katika nchi jirani ya Ethiopia huenda ikazorotesha uchumi wake. Baadaye tunakujia mubashara kutoka Durban, Afrika Kusini, katika kongamano la biashara ya ndani ya Afrika. Kisha mazungumzo ya kipekee na msanii wa Bongo Flava Diamond Platnumz kuhusu kurejea kwa biashara katika sekta ya muziki tunapokaribia msimu wa Disemba. Tunakujia moja kwa moja kutoka Nairobi, Kenya. Usibanduke. Naam, karibu katika habari za biashara zinazokuhusu, uchambuzi wa kina na mahojiano. Jina langu ni Hamida Abubakar. Wizara ya Fedha nchini Djibouti inaonya kwamba vita vinavyoendelea nchini Ethiopia huenda vikaharibu maendeleo ya miaka 20 ya kiuchumi katika taifa hilo, ikiwa ni taifa ambalo bado linajitahidi kujiinua tena baada ya janga la corona, athari ya uvamizi wa nzige na mabadiliko ya tabia nchi. Mzozo huo uliodumu mwaka mzima katika jimbo la Tigray umesababisha kushuka kwa biashara kati ya mataifa hayo mawili hadi 20%. Zaidi ya 90% ya bidhaa za Addis Ababa hupitia bandari ya Djibouti na kuipatia taifa hilo kati ya dola bilioni 1.5 hadi 2. Waziri wa fedha wa Djibouti Ilyas Musa Dawale amesema vita hivyo vimegharimu nchi dola bilioni 1.7 kutokana na kupungua kwa mapato na ukosefu wa ajira. Mwanahabari wa BBC Charles Gitonga alizungumza na waziri Ilyas Musa Dawale. Tumsikilize.
Now what is worrying?
Kinachotutia wasiwasi kwa sasa ni miaka 20 ya kufanya kazi kwa bidii, hasa maendeleo ya eneo la Ethiopia na Djibouti ikiharibika bila hata ya sisi kuhusika na vita hivyo.
To Djibouti, it's under questions. Without ourselves.
Hii ndio sababu ambayo rais wetu anatuambia kila siku, tuweke amani, amani, amani. Hili eneo haliwezi kuvumilia tena mambo tunayoyashuhudia.
President always repeat.
Vile Djibouti haiwezi pia kupambana na changamoto zote hizi. Wanadamu hawafai kujisukuma sana, hasa wakiwa na changamoto nyingi wanazokumbana nazo. Kwa hivyo tunaomba sana mambo yote haya yamalizike kwa haraka.
And it's good for anyone.
Tuna mambo muhimu zaidi ya kufanya kuliko kupigana vita vya wenyewe kwa wenyewe.
We have better to do than fighting each other.
Na tukiachana na hayo, wiki hii tumekuwa tukiangazia maonyesho ya Intra African Trade yanayoendelea mjini Durban, Afrika Kusini, na ambayo yanakamilika leo Ijumaa. Lengo kuu la mkutano huo ni kuimarisha biashara baina ya mataifa ya Afrika. Lakini tutaungana na mwanahabari Lines Moshigadi hapo baadaye, lakini kwa sasa tuweze tuangalie makala mafupi tu ambayo ameandaa akiwa katika sehemu hiyo.
Afrika ndilo bara lililo na idadi kubwa la barobaro duniani nzima, likichangia 40% ya jumla ya idadi ya watu Afrika. Kwa muda sasa, idadi hii kubwa ya barobaro Afrika imetajwa kuwa kiungo muhimu kitakachowezesha Afrika kuimarisha masoko kutokana na ubunifu wao, uwezeshi wa kifedha, miongoni mwa masuala mengine. Kinachosikitisha ni kuwa vijana hawa hawapo katika nafasi za uongozi, biashara au hata katika meza zinazobuni sera, mikakati zinazowajumuisha katika kuleta usuluhishi wa shida ili wawe katika mstari wa mbele kuleta mabadiliko. Kinyume na matarajio ni kwamba kongamano hili la kibiashara la Durban, Afrika Kusini, liliwashirikisha vijana finyu sana. Wale ambao waliofika hapa walikuwa na mawazo chanya na ya kiubunifu ya kujaribu kuleta suluhu za matatizo yao ya kila siku. Mmoja kati ya wale waliofika hapa ni Cynthia Ozioma kutoka Abuja, Nigeria, ambaye anajaribu kuleta fikra mbadala ya vijana. Yeye amebuni programu ya kuagiza teksi inayomwezesha mtu aliyoko nyumbani kufuata mienendo ya teksi na kujua hali ya usalama ya jamaa zao, ikilenga kutoa suluhu ya utovu wa usalama inayoambatana na usafiri wa umma nchini Nigeria.
So we have schools, tuna shule ambazo tunawawezesha kwa sasa ili kuweza kufuatilia mienendo ya mabasi ya shule. Kwa hiyo wanaweza kujua watoto wao wako wapi, wakiwatoa katika mabasi hayo, wakiwatoa kutoka manyumbani hadi mashuleni na kutoka mashuleni hadi manyumbani. Kwa hiyo shughuli yote ya usafiri inafuatiliwa kwa makini kwa sababu kunawezeshwa na teknolojia dijiti mpya.
Umbali wa mita chache na kutana na Nati Mbele, mkurugenzi wa kampuni ya Adnot. Yeye anasambaza huduma za interneti katika maeneo ya vijijini na viunga vyake, akitumia miundombinu ya gharama kidogo kama vile nguvu ya nishati kupitia miali ya jua kuhudumia watu wa mkoa wa KwaZulu Natal. Yeye anadai vijana wamejitokeza, lakini nafasi ndiyo hawapewi.
I think young people, they've proven themselves.
Nadhani barobaro wamethibitisha kwamba wanaweza kuchangia. Mimi nina miaka 35 na wengi walio katika kampuni yangu hasa